You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today.
Rogers takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35, to the 40. He's to the 45. He's to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 20, to the 10. He's all the way home. Holy moly. Man, woman, and child did that. Put him in the aisle.
60 minutes, balls out. Let's open up the whole can and kick out.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped and picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score.
You fight if it means you die. You fight, you fight.
Here's a handoff to Thunder, who gives it back to Mike Stuntz. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out.
Yeah.
40. It is. Eric Crouch. 15, 10, 5. Yes!
Armstrong looking, holding, throws out the flat pass caught by Amir, trying to avoid the rush. He does. He has a first down, bouncing off tacklers to the 45, Amir to the 40, Amir to the 35, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Oh, touchdown, Amir Abdullah. What an amazing catch and run by the All-American running back with 20 seconds to go.
We stay with them, and we shut them down because we can.
Kellogg's throw is going to be tipped and caught. It's caught. It's a touchdown, Western Town. They give it to Janovich, and he powers for a first down or more. There goes Andrew Janovich. His first quarter touchdown. We'll tie the game.
Who's the guy that's supposed to make the difference? I'm surrounded by it. And you guys freaking do it. We on the same page? Fight, fight, fight.
Martinez in trouble. Reverses. Trying to break the team. Martinez up the sideline. Still running. Look at him. Taylor Martinez. What a run. He's got a leg. Martinez. Wow. Taylor Martinez. Touchdown, Huskers.
It doesn't matter how you get here. It matters about what you do once you're here.
Red, white, hence the great jerseys. Great toss up top, wide open. And welcome to Lincoln, Nebraska, Dylan Ariola.
Buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride.
Let's go.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Let's flipping go.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla here on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. Shane, you did not oversell it.
Nope. I'm not sure on the echo, but everything else, man, I'm officially I heart you. I love you, which is probably the first time.
So I should have played it down a little bit.
Yeah, well, I like I got a lot of empty space in my head, so sometimes I just hear the echo when I think. So maybe it's me, but now that we got like the real boss in the house, we're good to go. Because if anything goes wrong, Sasha can fix it. we got Super Bowl testicle in the house over there in the corner, just minding his own business. I want that quarter zip. It's a very pretty quarter zip. But man, let's have a show, man. That entrance was.
I know. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I feel like I need to go headbutt something.
Yeah. Well.
We'll try not to though.
Yeah. Listen. This thing is already misshapen. Like, I can't afford to be.
Maybe you kind of knocked it into place a little bit.
Man, I can't afford to be running into too many things with this oblongata.
Well, we are live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill with some of our friends. Some more trickling in as well for our first live breakfast of the season, brought to you by our friends over at EP Foundation Repair.
Yeah,
our
all
guys
in the
over
house.
there.
You know what? I almost thought the young lady had on Dodgers gear, but the EPP fooled me. But that's okay because
nobody's gonna wear Dodgers
they're
gear.
big.
Nobody wants that.
Wash your mouth out, young man. We all can't be sorry Red Sox fans over there.
Well, listen, baseball season's been over for me for a minute.
No, we're still in it to win it, man. Heck of a menu today too. Did you take a look at it?
I did.
The fine folks come out to join us.
I think I'm gonna rock some biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy.
I like biscuits and gravy.
Cake mix. So you've got an egg plate with a choice of bacon or sausage. You can go biscuits and gravy. It's served with my thing, tater tots.
I'm surprised you're going sandwich.
No, well, the pile of bacon is going, but the reason I got the sausage sandwich to go is because I want to eat the sausage, egg, and cheese.
You're getting rid of the bread.
Yes.
Come on, man.
I'm team sausage all the way.
Don't be wasteful.
Come on, man.
Just
Don't
eat
judge.
the sandwich. Just eat the sandwich.
How beautiful does this club soda look?
It looks great.
Do you know how fast I'm going to drink this?
Yeah, pretty fast.
Yep.
It's going to be aggressive.
I can't remember.
How are you feeling today? You had a little game last night.
Yeah, we didn't play well, but I'm happy to get in the win column and move on, right? So the cool thing is we got out of there with the win. We handled the delay, which I was probably
that's challenging.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
Because how long did it end up being?
I don't know, 2 hours maybe.
By the time they stopped, and then you got warmed up again and everything.
Right. So I'm happy with that. And the cool thing is the whole week 1 to week 2 thing and improvements. Unless you're Colorado, we got a chance to really get better with. So it's a good football team we played, and I like some things we did. We're so young.
I was pretty impressed with how you guys held up in the trenches.
So that I don't knock on wood, that I don't think that's going to be a problem. Everybody talks about, up front and what we lost. And, we got a lot of guys that have played a lot. I think once we settle down and figure out, obviously it's week 1, so you throw a lot on the wall and see what sticks. But who we're going to be offensively. I think defensively, we picked up
pretty much right where you left off.
Yeah, it's we're very good against the run, and
they couldn't get much going at all.
And I think, and we held I was scared to death of Cannon.
Yes,
1,300 yards and 16 touchdowns, and we held him to negative yards rushing and forced them into a lot of throwing situations. So if we can keep teams from running the football.
Well, you're not going to face too many teams up front that are better than the one you saw last night.
Yeah, and Coach McLaughlin really underappreciated coaching their offensive line, and he's won a lot of championships. Has Dan McLaughlin. So, there's some coaching.
Miller West guy, right?
Yeah, there's some coaching prowess there, and you like battling wits with really, really bright guys like that. I got a ton of respect for Coach Martin, and I thought. Going forward, it's going to be a tricky year to navigate because there are some teams that will be significantly better late than they are early. And there will, of course, be some teams that peak early because that's just who they are. So, we got to do us. The 13 penalties was a travesty.
It was a little sloppy.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
There's no – you don't have to sugarcoat it. Listen, it was piss poor. It was poor. You look, and we had 13 penalties for, 145 yards, and that's unacceptable. And you get a little ticky tack on some, some PIs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the procedure, the motion penalties, we just got to be better.
Well, there's a couple there was a taunting ones, you just got to get.
Yeah, so I listen.
I thought it was light, but you still can't do it.
I don't gas me. Don't.
I thought it was a little light.
Those are my guys that worked the crew last night, and so I'm gonna keep it above board. But
I can say it because I'm not a coach. I thought it was.
Well, you guys got to understand where we're at,
yeah.
Right? It's, and I get it. You want to control it early, but we caught a break early on a personal foul, and was
that the first altercation where they went
out?
Yeah,
so the white hat did a really good job.
Yeah.
That time of not falling prey to catching the second guy, right? Because clearly, and Quentin's got to be better.
Yeah,
he easily could have. Because when he threw the flag, it was late.
Yeah, it was.
So I was like, oh, here we go. But it was. I felt like early on they kind of got it under control, and we didn't respond emotionally the way that I think our staff wanted us to early. Emotions are revving high. It's game 1. A lot is going on. There were some chintzy, a couple PIs that I was like, man, come on. But outside of that, I felt like for what that game was early, it was fine. We just got to be better. We got to be more disciplined.
I've got a question for you, but first, you see our guy with the well actually shirt? That's our guy. Steve
That
right
is
there.
our guy. Well, actually,
I told you he's got glasses.
Yeah.
I guaranteed it.
And he brought his significant other. Listen, we all outkicked our coverage. It's okay. You just just like everybody else up here.
Before the end of the day, I need one of these. Just one.
I got to be honest, though. That is not what I expected.
Not at all. I had no idea what I expected.
That is absolutely
But I was like, that's
classic.
my guy in the well actually shirt.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Very, very thoughtful.
One of my favorites, Steve Young.
Well, actually. Hey, I say that every day. Every day.
If you haven't joined us, we're out here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill for the live breakfast and got a great menu. I did want to ask you something about because you started a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Braylon Warren. Didn't start off great for him.
No. You could tell it was his first start.
Yeah.
And he was a little skittish.
So what's that process like? Because we know he's talented, right? We know he's got as much talent as you could possibly want.
So some of that's on us,
okay,
right? Like some of that's on us as a staff to get him comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing that I challenged some of our guys last night, on the way home, you get like the text and calls and stuff. And this is really, really important. And I think this happens in college football. This happens in the pros. Sometimes you have to be willing to coach guys hard and trust that they can take it, and I told our guys, I said, Braylon is a guy. I mean, when his dad first said, hey, we really want Braylon to come to West Side and this, that, and the other. And I said, oh, I love him. I've known him since he was just a little itty bitty thing. And he's like, he can be a blankety blank. So I'm going to need you to no, except he actually said the words.
I'm sure.
But that's how Steve is, right? Yeah. Like he keeps it 100. And so I think we have to understand that even though people are young and inexperienced, like deep down, they want to be led.
Yeah.
So I think we have to do a better job of demanding excellence real time.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think the kids can take it. Like they can absolutely take it. And I think for him, it was just we missed so many open guys early. And listen, we caught a break.
Mm-hmm.
O'Neal doesn't catch that ball on 4th down when we turn him loose in a scramble drill because we get our eyes in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like we caught a break.
Yeah.
And so, there's this part of me that invites chaos. So I'm like, ooh, if he catches that and we go down early on a play that
you got a little Coach Rule in you. We're like, hey, let's see how we react.
So this whole thing is Coach Rule.
Yeah.
Right?
Like let's see how they react. The coaching people hard. Yeah.
And the caring, not coddling.
Yeah. As long as you love them hard, you can coach them hard.
100%. And so, like, I'm, I would have, there's this part of me that's like, ooh, I wonder what would happen if Connor catches that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, thankfully he didn't, but.
Yeah, we know.
Braylon will you saw him settle into a little bit of a rhythm. We got to help him, I think, with, quick game and getting balls to our playmakers. Because
that's a real thing, right? Like getting because it's sort of the cliche whenever a new quarterback's in there, like, oh, like get him an easy
and they
one.
Were, they were well coached in the secondary.
Yeah, they were pretty disciplined.
I like their concepts in the back end. I think Dortch is a stud. 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's legit.
He was good.
He's got it.
And so, we got to help. We can't, Purify didn't get a catch until I think it was 3rd quarter.
Yeah, you probably need to get that guy the ball.
Listen, he's ridiculous.
He's really good.
Right? You
need to get that back. You got Eli.
Hey, how good? So
that's the guy. Those two guys were the guys I took away from 7-on-7.
I am a big. So you know why I like Eli?
Why's that?
I like EJ because he doesn't say much, and I think he feels internal pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's been really good for a long time, but he hasn't really been able to be the guy. And in this offense that's so multifaceted, it's hard to singularly be the guy.
Yeah.
So you got to stay in the moment, be patient,
and take your
opportunities. Yeah. And, he didn't really get involved early,
mm-hmm.
but you saw all that he brings to the table on that slant. It wasn't the hands catch he had early, which was nice, right? You see how he can just pluck it, and he's got fantastic hands. But when he caught the little look in on the slant, mm-hmm. and the great hands catch, the balance, the getting downfield. See, he's a big, strong kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part of his game where I told him after the game, I said, I loved watching the toughness. Because when he brings that ability to hang in there, even though he may not be involved early,
mm-hmm.
and can come out of the back end, that's going to be the difference for him. Because at the next level,
yeah,
you can't you can't always need a talking to or an attaboy or a back pat or mom or dad or coach. Like sometimes you just got to hang in there and go.
So I kind of want to tie this to Nebraska because obviously they're going to be starting a young quarterback tomorrow as well. Like, what does that look like real time as you're talking to Braylon and he doesn't get off to a great start and you're trying to get, not you specifically, the staff.
Yeah.
And you're trying
which is hard because I'm close to it.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
So you kind of want to go
over
there.
But I'm not really on that side of
Yeah.
the ball. So and I love Coach Lovell and those guys. So I'm just like,
what's that look like real time to get a guy who doesn't have the experience to draw on to know that, like, hey, this is going to be okay?
So he was kind of down on our end on the defense. We were waiting for the punt. And, I just went over to him and I pretended to, like, get some dirt off his shoulders. I was like, hey, just take a deep breath. Like, you get your feet underneath you. I'm like, you belong, right? Yeah. We talk about the whole conquering that first part, the bear thing.
Yeah, the two bears.
And he just smiled. He's like, hey, I got you. And he's going forward. The arm talent, right?
Yeah, the arm talent's really, really good.
Yeah, so it's things like we talked about this in the offseason with him. You asked me off here, hey, so what's it going to be?
Yeah, it's the leadership of the huddle, being able to control the team.
And I said poise in the pocket.
I'll say be able to control your emotion.
Climbing the pocket, knowing when to take one and just deliver. Like, those are the things that he'll learn because physically.
He's more mobile than I thought, too. That scramble was nice.
I whispered in his ear in the locker room. I said, I was scared the whole time.
That he was running?
With every hit and every guy he made move, I was like tinkling even more. I was like, ooh, get down. Because, North was bringing some wood.
They were.
So it was like.
They were.
I whispered in his ear. I was like, oh, my God. I was like, I didn't even know you had that in you. I was scared. I was like. Pretend you're in baseball. Slide.
I was like, get down.
And in typical B-Dub fashion, he just smiled and was like, I got you, coach.
So speaking of QB run game, I know you were watching Colorado NDSU last night.
I was.
And NDSU kind of
very little sleep for your guy.
NDSU kind of diced him up on that QB run game.
I couldn't believe. So here's the thing schematically, and I get the whole week 1 to week 2 thing. Concept-wise, Colorado is in trouble defensively if they don't kind of adjust to the middle of the field. And I don't know what the game plan was. There's certain concessions you make as a coordinator, like what you're willing to do.
Hey, we'll give them that because we don't think they can beat us there.
But the middle of the field open stuff, I was shocked. Right? They were
both with the pass and the QB run.
Or they were willing to give up the crossers and come rally and tackle. But like low hole, high hole, and QB run game, I was like, wow, you're going to have to shore that up. And not that I think QB run game is going to be the thing for Nebraska, but what I do think is what I love is the intermediate passing game.
Yeah.
Right? With their inside receivers and their big, strong guys.
The tight ends.
And I'm a big, if you can manipulate the box, if you can control from hash to hash, from 0 to 12 yards,
you're going to win more often.
You can win.
Yeah.
Because you can dictate what linebackers can and can't do. If they're hook the curl conscience or crosser conscience, it's hard. It's hard to fit in the run game off a certain look. So, I wasn't surprised that it happened early. I was surprised they didn't adjust.
That it kept happening.
If North Dakota State had 60 more seconds, they could have matriculated their way down the field. Right? They had to get out of character because they ran out of time. But
if they didn't have that pass interference on the 3rd and long,
God, that food looks so good.
If they didn't have the pass interference on the 3rd and long before they got him to punt,
they're
in a position to win that game.
All I was saying, this is the total.
And it was a pass interference. I'm not.
Everybody on our team will hear me say, "Don't panic."
Yeah.
Right. Ball in the air, you're beat. Don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. Play through his hands. Play through his hands. Play through his hands. Don't panic. And
and how much of it's like you at least have to turn your head, even if you don't know where the ball is, when you get close, just to give it the.
So the television watcher in me says, "Oh, sure, man, turn your head."
I get it's hard.
The realist in me is like, I'm beat. I don't feel like I'm in good position. I don't trust to look back. Like, you're just not going to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. We can say all we want to is like the armchair guys.
Because as a guy that's never played DB, I'm watching. I go,
well,
okay.
Listen, you can play DB, and when you're cooked and a guy's behind you in that scenario, what you're thinking to yourself is, I'll take the 15
is
and
better
not the
than
60.
Yeah. No, I get it. I do.
Right. So like, I don't begrudge him for that. It's just just stay within yourself. And I looked at Colorado offensively, and it's not you can't say, well, if they didn't have Travis Hunter, because they do.
Yeah, that still counts. Horn's pretty good. Horn's not bad.
But concept-wise, I'm like,
it's not impressive.
How portable is that?
I don't know.
You can't just say, hey, my guy's better than your guy, go make a play, because you'll start to see bracket coverage. You can see man under. You can see lots of things, especially if you can't run the ball.
Mm-hmm. It gets a lot easier.
You can do a lot of things in coverage.
Deion's not worried about running the ball, though.
And you don't have a QB run game. We have to get there where we can run it. But if you don't want to run the ball consistently or have QB escapability,
because Shedeur does not want to run.
That's going to be tough sledding.
He's going to scramble. He doesn't want to run.
It's just going to be you're going to see kind of what you saw against a couple of our opponents last year. And it's not because we have good players. It's just because the concept matches up.
Yeah, you put him in a bind.
If you don't run the ball with your quarterback,
and
you can't run the ball,
with your running backs or whoever else,
this isn't. You're not about to just do 7-on-7.
I mean, Deion's not worried about the running game, though. He told us he wanted us to be sure he's not worried about it.
I was mortified at the last 2 minutes how they managed that game.
Yeah, it was terrible. Why do you throw on first down after you get that pass interference penalty? They gave them 40 free seconds.
I couldn't believe it.
What are you doing?
I was like, well,
that was I watched that and I go, that's just ego, because he thought they could beat him.
So I went back. To all the conversations we had about your scenario about when to cheer for him and when not, and I'm like, that staff. So do you get the sense that going into this week, next week playing Nebraska, you're thinking, okay, so if we're in a 1-score game next week, we better run the ball? Do you think they're thinking that?
No.
So it doesn't matter.
No, if the staff's not good, it doesn't matter.
That was kind of my whole point. It's
but he had some new guys from last year. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And some of the guys, there are names on his staff.
Yeah.
Right. No, so that's what
I get it, but I think Phyllis. So sometimes this is what I want to watch play out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes philosophically, you get all these guys super smart guys. It's like Zim going to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a lot of tradition as a defensive mind, but there still has to be this thing where philosophically it matches up with your personnel.
Sure.
Right. So you kind of have a sense how Zim wants to play. Then he gets a couple of toys that he can play with. You got a corner you got two that are really good in man, pretty not real bail technique guys, like to touch you, kind of mug you a little bit. You got an elite level pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
So Zim's got to be thinking to himself, okay, I know I have a defensive philosophy, but what am I dealing with?
Yeah.
That staff in Colorado, they philosophically they have a thing,
mm-hmm.
but what
are they dealing with?
What are you dealing with?
Yeah.
Right. You can't play. You can't go 2 wide receivers and a quarterback and go 3 on 11 all season.
Yeah, that's not going to work, especially when one of those wide receivers plays both ways.
There's a reason he limped off the field last night late. They shouldn't have even been in that position for him to get the leg nicked, right?
No.
You're running like a little bubble. You think it's safe. It's a little RPO look. You think of it as a long handoff.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot more things can go wrong than right.
For sure. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill for our first live breakfast show of the season. We will be back. We'll set up the show to let you know who's coming up, and we'll have more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Probably not. I don't have a great feel for that. I did go to dinner I went out to dinner last night, so I got out a little bit, which I don't do much. Tonight I have the players. We're having all the single digits over to our house for dinner tonight, and their significant others / parents. So Julie will do that. So really most of my time is spent with like me, my family, and our players. But I hope people are excited, and I hope we earn their excitement. I hope they're excited, but after the game, I hope they're proud. I hope they're proud of not just the result. I hope we play well. And they're proud of the progress, and they're proud of seeing a team that's better than the team they saw last year. And that's all I know. That's all. The only way I know to be successful is just try to get a little bit better every day. So we should be better than we were last year.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We're live at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill for our first pregame breakfast of the season, brought to you by our friends at EP Foundation Repair. We've got a great show coming up for you. Got our guy Greg Sharpe coming up here in the next segment, 7:45, voice of Nebraska football.
My ace.
Got Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. He was down there at Westside last night.
Yes, he was.
I saw him put some clips out on Twitter, some good stuff there. Got Jon Teicher, the play-by-play voice of UTEP football, coming up at 8:45. Then we got some guy named Mike Sautter dropping by at 9. We'll see what he's doing.
I was with that wear out all night last night.
and then we'll wrap up the week.
Sounds about right.
Like we always do with Matt Vrzal, former Husker owner of Paisan's Pizzeria.
For the record, he talks slow in real life too.
Who?
Sautter.
No, I know. Yeah.
So
with arms wide open.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
Maurice. I mean, Keenan Cotton, man. Like, what?
Keenan's a nice player.
He's fantastic.
Good ball player. He looks a little more wiggly than he did last year.
That's the thing, man. Like, we're gonna try to.
He looked a little straight line last year. He looks like he's got a little wiggle.
He's a guy that I would use. So there's two. He and CJ Christian, where I would use as like demo cut up tapes.
Yeah.
Like if you want to show like a lot of the drill work we do, use KC. I call him Masterpiece just because of barbecue sauce.
Sure.
KC but really the masterpiece is spawned from the fact that when he does drills, it looks fantastic. And then you watch CJ, who I'm so proud of him because, 2 years ago, we weren't in this situation, right? I'm pretty sure he'd tell you, we should bring him on because he's ridiculously honest and he has a super old soul. And he'd be like, yeah, I want to kill DB. Like, I'm pretty sure he would say that.
Well, whenever he's ready, if he wants to announce our commitment, he can come right on.
Like he would say that.
Yeah.
And now it's like he is a total extension of me, right? Just fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
Does the right thing. He looks like a guy where you would cut up demo tapes. And he's much bigger.
He's big.
That's what everybody said last
big.
night. Like he's significant. I told people, he's 20 pounds heavier than a year ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's that.
Let's get to our guy Jesse on the Hurrdat hotline. Wants to talk a little Colorado. Jesse, what's going on, bud?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Jesse, how we doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Damon, congrats last night. I know the first game stuff. I heard you guys talk about penalties and stuff, but you want to come out of those first games with stuff to work on, right?
Yep, 100%. Right, it makes practice fun today.
You got it. Cool. Hey, yeah. So probably just like everybody else in the state of Nebraska, I watched that Colorado game last night, and
with fear and trepidation.
Well, so here's the deal. Like, I'm not a Husker fan, but I don't root against them. I always preface my stuff with that. I'm on Twitter.
Well, I mean, it's not Syracuse or Creighton or anybody, right?
No, seriously, what's wrong with
Well,
Notre Dame, baby.
I had to pick something in the East Coast. Oh yeah, if you're talking football, you're right.
That's right. All right.
That's all right. Team Rezak, you can talk Notre Dame.
That's right.
Xavier Watts, you can talk Notre Dame all you want.
Can you talk CJ? Can you talk CJ into South Bend?
They made their run late last year. I think he's out.
Oh man. All right. Well, no, I'm watching it last night, and it's good. It's a good game, competitive game, just like I thought it would be. But the thing that more than anything that was happening on the field was what was happening on Twitter or X or whatever. When I search and I see some Husker accounts and fans, and I'm seeing tweets like, "Oh, that's a sack against Nebraska," or "Nebraska doesn't let that play happen," and I'm just kind of cringing when I'm reading these things because we all want them to do well, but I'm thinking, in your heart of hearts, is Nebraska? Do you know for a fact Nebraska's better than that North Dakota State team last night?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was watching because, that was a good football team.
Yeah, that's good. That is a good football team.
And so I'm thinking, I don't know if some of these fans understand. Like, we know their accomplishments, but to a man, when you line up on the field, does the average fan understand just how good North Dakota State is? And I don't know that they do, and that concerns me in terms of what you're going to see next Saturday. I think this Saturday you're fine, but next Saturday, I think last night a lot of Husker fans watched that game, and now they have kind of a false sense of confidence. And I hope that's not the case, but that's kind of what I was feeling off the social media.
No, I'm 100% with you, Jesse. And I think the thing that
appreciate the call, Jesse.
The thing that's not super portable that we don't know is the QB run game dynamic. Because I'm just telling you, it's hard to account for quarterbacks in the run game.
Yeah.
And anytime you get a quarterback that can tote the rock, you feel compromised as a coordinator. It's like, oh shoot, right? Because now you don't really have free safeties. You just have guys on the back end.
Yeah, you gotta have spies
because no one's free.
Yeah.
Shoot, even last night with Gal, we got compromised a little bit because we didn't think he was really going to scramble on us.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to make an adjustment at the half, right? We made up 2 calls just to keep him neutralized because we didn't want to get hurt with the scramble, because you don't expect that going in. So I get what Nebraska fans are saying about, oh, it looked like this and it looked like that, but that's not how our offense is going to look. So once Nebraska gets to game plan in Colorado, you can look and see, okay, low hole, high hole. What can we do to simulate an extra defender or an extra offensive player in the middle of the field? Because that's where Colorado's compromised, right? Just schematic. It's, we're on video now with live stream, which is beautiful. So we should probably get a dry erase board at some point. And I've been saying that for years, but I don't know how boring or exciting that is on radio.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
But Nebraska's not right now. That offense is not built to exploit where Colorado was bad last night. So don't make that linear comparison. Now, one thing I think you can compare is how they play in the trenches.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do you feel Colorado is physical or are they not? Or like those things, I think you can compare a little more linearly. But concept-wise, I don't think it's portable at all.
Two things there. A, did you see anything from Colorado's offensive line that led you to believe that Nebraska's defensive line will be given a ton of problems by them?
No.
Like you like Nebraska's defensive line in that matchup?
I think Nebraska's defensive line room has the most Sunday guys on the roster.
Yeah, I think that's one of the better defensive lines in the conference.
Yeah.
And to Jesse's question, I think that defensive line absolutely is better than North Dakota State's defensive line. And that's not to hate on North Dakota State's defensive line. I just think Nebraska's is that good.
Yeah.
And they're super deep, so they're not going to get tired. I'm not sure Colorado has 5 offensive linemen, they like, much less 8, to deal with the rotations that Nebraska's defensive line is going to do.
I'm thinking in my head, and I probably shouldn't be. I guess today isn't really about UTEP. It probably should be. But
it will be at some point, but we watched Colorado play last night.
Right. I understand it's fresh.
Yeah.
So the thing that Colorado's probably thinking right now is, what can we do to offset the lack of ability to actually hand the football off?
Yeah.
Because you have to slow
the rushers down somehow,
whether it's screen game.
So you saw a little bit of screen game late from Colorado.
And so,
but then you kind of rely on your second level to have good discipline.
Yeah, and Nebraska conceptually plays. So the
easiest, and North Dakota State was there. They just missed a couple tackles on those screens.
Sometimes the easiest teams to screen are teams that play man-to-man.
So
Nebraska's going to have to. I mean, that's the cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
I mean, we're clearly fast forwarding a week from now, but I'm totally with Jesse. Like, I think at the end of the day, I would reserve conceptual judgment on comparing apples to apples until I watch Nebraska tomorrow.
We'll close the book on Colorado here at this segment, and we can move on to UTEP. But I do want to ask, you mentioned kind of that conceptually, you're not sure if Nebraska's built to take advantage of where Colorado's weak. Do you think there's things they can do to Nebraska to exploit Colorado, whether it is like Jamal Banks and Thomas Fidone over the middle to kind of get into that intermediate zone you were talking about, or what does that look like?
So this isn't obvious if you haven't watched Nebraska yet, but one matchup I think Nebraska can exploit is their physicality on the perimeters. They have big, strong receivers, and I think you can put Colorado in some conflicts with those guys on the back end because they're small, quick guys. I'd force the back end from Colorado to tackle. If there's one thing I would take to next week, I would make corners tackle and I would make linebackers cover. If I'm Nebraska going into next
Nebraska
week.
does have the guys to do both of those things.
Absolutely.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to Greg Sharpe, the voice of Nebraska football, here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Snap back. Give it off to Grant. Leans. Didn't make it. It's going to be 3rd and goal. Boy, we had a goal line stand by Nebraska's defense. Illinois trying to duplicate that. So the ball. No, now the hands go up. It's a touchdown for Grant. My goodness, what a delayed call. Zone read. Take the hit. Harvard's got a 20, 15, 10, 5, dive, touchdown, Nebraska.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube here at our pregame breakfast, brought to you by EP Foundation Repair. We are joined now by our guy, Greg Sharpe, the play-by-play voice of Nebraska football. Greg, how are you this morning?
Guys, I'm great. What was for breakfast? Or have you not had it yet?
Oh, my favorite, because you and I have had a few breakfasts on the road. So we got an egg plate, we got biscuits and gravy, we got a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, and a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich. What would G Sharpe go with?
Oh, my gosh. I can't pass up biscuits and gravy.
Thank you. That's my guy.
You got that somewhere? You got that somewhere in the vicinity? I'm chomping. Let's go.
I think Minnesota all over again, man. I appreciate you hold my hand even all the way to breakfast. That was a pretty good spot. We went. What's that, Keys we were at? What cafe was that, Sharpie?
Cafe.
Was it Keys
Key
Cafe? Yeah, okay.
Key.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sharpe, was breakfast before or after you had to guide him to the right stadium?
That's before.
It was several hours before. Yeah. Yeah, that was the encore.
Yeah.
The trip to the stadium.
Yeah. All right. How we feeling, big guy, man? You know, every time I talk to you, you make my day. I'm looking forward to Saturday, man. How you feeling?
Doing well. You know, it was a goal of mine once I got diagnosed back in the spring to make it to this point, and I have, and my body's feeling pretty good. And looking forward to being up in the booth with you and looking right down below us, DB, and seeing the Huskers. Not any longer on that far sideline, but right down and below us. I think that'll be a fun change for Husker football this fall.
I know, I'm blind, so it's like you and B Mac won't have as much babysitting to do, man. Like, are you going to be okay just getting to do your own job and not have to help me do mine?
Oh, B Mac, we're going to both need him to babysit us this fall. So he ain't getting out of that.
Greg, I know there's a ton of excitement around the state for this year of Nebraska football. How can kind of put it in context for us? I know there's been other years, whether it's 2019 or 2007, where there's been a 2011, I think, as well. There's been a lot of excitement, a lot of hype. You've seen most of those years. Like, how does this compare to some of those other ones?
Oh, I think it's on par with all that. And I think there's real reason to be optimistic. I mean, we saw signs of improvement in the program last year. We knew there was issues at the quarterback position, needed to be better at that spot. I think we are. I think Dylan will prove to be a step up for the quarterbacks. Then you mix in the schedule. I mean, you cannot dismiss the schedule. And to me, this is 2016 all over again with the schedule set up. And that was Mike Riley's second year where they got off to the great start and found themselves in the top 10 in November. Not saying that's going to happen this time around, but the potential for that to happen is there with this group and this particular schedule. So I think the upbeat is warranted. And certainly can't wait to get this thing started tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yeah, let's go tomorrow.
The very recognizable voice of the Husker Radio Network, Greg Sharpe, joining us here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Sharpe, do you allow yourself, because I know you're the master of the televisions, you get them all set in the studio and up in the booth. How much did you watch of last night and try not to, or actually did fast forward into next week?
Oh, I was all over it. I mean, I was all over it. I was zipping around. I mean, I even watched a little bit of Western Carolina, North Carolina State last night.
Oh, yeah. I thought you'd be locked in on Rutgers, right? Because we both
Yep. I did watch a lot of their game, and they got a little slow start. And DB, they were missing about 3 starters on defense.
Understood,
One,
too.
Toure is out. He's out for the year, Toure is. But the other couple guys in the secondary were out. But, man, Monongai can really run.
Isn't he something?
Love him. And I guess the Howard coach is upset at the end of the game. They ran a couple dive plays and scored in the last 10 seconds. I think that offended the Howard coach. But, hey, you're running a dive play. Stop it. Tackle a guy short of an 8-yard gain. So
we need it. We need NIL, right? I mean, good teams win, great teams cover, Sharpe.
It's exactly right. And that was part of it. And then I asked Shane before we went on. I said, "Did you make it to the end of the Minnesota game?" He said, "No." He confessed that because of you guys, he went to bed. He wanted to be fresh and ready to roll, so he missed the end of that game, and that was a tremendous finish to that game.
Do you look at that? This was a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Big Ten opening slate and things, and I said that would be a bad loss for this Minnesota team because I'm already worried about, not worried like, fretting, because I don't have an emotional investment, but I do think they could potentially be in for a tough year. I said that would be a bad loss for Minnesota to start the season. Was it expounded by the fact that, you give up game-winning drives and that with your backup quarterback?
I think so. I mean, I think they hang their hat on playing great defense and great special teams. And they couldn't get a stop when they needed it against the backup quarterback. And their kicker, who's pretty good, right, misses 2. He missed one early in the game from short distance when he doinked it off the upright. And then the 47-yarder at the end where he pulled it and missed it wide right. That's a loss that's going to stew in the minds of Minnesota. A little bit like, I think, the way we felt last year leaving that stadium once Damon got there. I think we felt that way. Going, that's a game we should have won and might cost us a bowl game. And you kind of look back and go, well, yeah, that maybe did cost us that 6th win.
Yeah, I'm kind of sitting there and being like, hey, where were these missed field goals last year, guys? That'd have been nice.
No kidding.
Hey, let me ask you
something. Hey,
go ahead.
To your question, obviously I watched a ton of the Colorado game, and Hunter is unbelievable. I mean, some of the catches he makes are phenomenal. They will hit you with some big plays. But I think Nebraska's game plan last year can work against them this year. Grind it out, punch them in the mouth, be really physical with them, and try to dominate the time of possession in the game and limit the number of possessions in the game. I think that formula will work next Saturday.
Sharpe, we've had a ton of conversations at the end of games where you and I will look at each other and be Mac and, however that dialogue goes. So we've been conditioned to deal with a lot of late, strange things happening. When you look at this team and it's a one-score game, would you rather Nebraska have the ball on offense or their defense be on the field?
Good question. I love Tony. You and I have an affinity for Tony White. I think their defense, the game on the line in their hands, I'm feeling really good. Now, I need to see Dylan a few games, I think, DB, before I can fully answer that and see how he composes himself in a fourth quarter of a tight game. We don't know that yet. My guess is he'll be really good at that. That's my hunch, but I want that to be confirmed. So I guess I have more data to answer that on the defensive side than I do right now at the offense.
Yeah, I can't get out of my head, Michigan State, Martinez against Michigan in Lincoln. But then I go back to we had a chance in Wisconsin. We had a chance at Minnesota. Maryland, Iowa, where it's like, okay, defense is out there. So I'm just thinking, with the way that this roster's built, which would I prefer? And I still don't have a really good answer. Because my heart's been broke all sorts of different ways,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Sharpe, as we get ready for UTEP, is there anything, I know you do a ton of prep on every team that you guys call. I know you and DB are both kind of junkies that way, but junkies, sickos, whatever you want to call it. But what have you seen anything from UTEP, or I guess Austin Peay, because we're not watching any UTEP film, that you think could be something interesting to watch tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Governors. Man, I watched a ton of tape of Austin Peay. I like what they do. I like a lot of the things they do. And this is going to be a fun and I think a good test for Nebraska because of the way they spread things out.
How about their sneaky ground game?
He's pretty good. 1,300 yards
He's
back.
legit.
And it's because they spread you so much and they try to get him in space where he can use his wiggle a little bit. Defensively, they're either going to come at us or they're going to drop 8 or 9 in coverage and go find somebody. And so that'll be an interesting wrinkle and a good start to Dylan. And hey, if I'm them, I'm giving Dylan all kinds of different looks, right? I mean, if I'm their DC, I'm going, as a freshman, he's going to be a little nervous. He doesn't know yet what's going on in college football. So I like this matchup because I think it's going to make Nebraska a little uncomfortable at times. But I think that's good with Colorado a week away.
Two really, really bright guys. If you had to peg right now the more interesting storyline as the season goes on, you think it'll be Butler or Glenn Thomas?
Well, I think it's Glenn. I do. And I love Coach Butler, man. I love watching him coach. I love the way he works the field out there. But I think it's Glenn Thomas and the responsibility of getting Dylan ready and maybe creating some interesting packages to utilize Heinrich in some different ways as well. But I think because of getting a freshman quarterback ready, I'm more interested and locked in what Coach Thomas is lining up for us.
Greg, as you get ready for tomorrow on the Nebraska side, obviously there's a lot of questions or things people are interested to see, right? Whether it's Dylan Raiola, whether it's some of the new guys on defense. What's the thing for Nebraska that you're most interested to see in terms of the question marks you're looking to be answered?
Well, I want to see what the kicking game looks like. I want to see how they rotate. Is it Tristan for everything? Is it John Hole for part of it? How does that play out? There were enough oars on the depth chart for the running back room to row a boat. So what happens with the running back room? Does somebody take a step and grab that job, or is it going to be a by committee thing? And we keep hearing Coach Worrell say, I want a guy to take a play that could go for 8 yards and take it 80. Is that guy in that room? I don't know, but maybe tomorrow we start to see some light on somebody grabbing a hold of that running back room. And I love DB's take on that because that's his spot. And is there a guy that's going to eventually win that job out? I don't know at this point in time, but I think we start to get some answers tomorrow.
It's been a long time since they're going to let real game play out who wins that job. Like, this is going to be an interesting test.
Sharpe, we appreciate the time. As always, look forward to hearing you on the call tomorrow, and we will talk to you again soon.
See you in the morning, buddy.
Guys, always enjoyed TV. We'll see you in 24.
You got it.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next with Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where we are having our first pregame breakfast of the year, brought to you by EP Foundation Repair. EP Foundation Repair specializes in foundation repair, basement waterproofing, and crawl space encapsulation. With over 25 years of experience, they are experts at these things. Make sure you give them a call, 402-588-5600. 888-878-5174 or visit epconcrete.com to learn more about EP Foundation Repair. Joining us now is Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Tim, how are you this morning?
Not too bad, not too bad. Stayed up late a little bit, watching certain someone coach a football game last night.
Yeah, we've been talking about that all morning. What time did you get back home? Because you waited through the delay, didn't you?
Yeah, not too late. I had to stop by, get some dinner afterwards, and but it wasn't too bad of a night. Again, compared to a typical Friday night, it was like, I got home by like 9:30, not 10.
It's not too bad.
You're better than me, man. I bailed at the lightning break. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, Jay asked where you went. I was like, I never saw.
I went to go hang out with your guy Johnny Rogers.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you guys go?
There was this thing in Elkhorn. I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah, we can't be stealing your thunder. Tim, we were sluggish last night. We didn't play very well, so I appreciate your patience and sticking with us while you're actually doing your job begrudgingly, I'm sure.
Of course. No, it's good to see everybody. And, I think I'm writing it up this morning, but just the flashes from Braylon, it's good to see because I saw him all off season. Just wanted to see him kind of put it together game one. I'm excited to track him the rest of the season.
I like the fact that you like one of our guys that I think's got a chance to be pretty good. And I know Purify gets a ton of run, and as he should, because he's going to be fantastic. And Cotton is sensational. But Eli Johnson's got a chance to be pretty good. And it's just hard to be a feature guy in our offense, right? Like it's pretty spread out.
Yeah. And, for him too, it's like, again, like just little glimpses of it last night, but like, I talked to him after the game. It's like that catch and runs, like that stuff college coaches
on that little slant. Yeah, that was big boy stuff.
Yeah, that stuff coaches like to see, and I think that shows a lot of just the growth and maturity he's taken this offseason.
Tim, couple guys that obviously Nebraska's got to commit from Tyson Terry, and then they're interested in Christian Jones on the other side. What were your thoughts about those two guys in their first game of their senior seasons?
Tyson, just the motor is incredible. Like, he's going both ways all game. And I noted it like midway through the second quarter. It was like there was a just this little run play, and he blows up like 3-4 blockers just as soon as he gets off the ball, which it's like, and I had people in the comments being like, what's the level of comp? And I'm like, I'm standing on the other side of the field, so I know these guys all look small, but this is Class A competition. This is the Omaha West Side. Like,
he's a monster.
Right. And Tyson's incredible, and just the consistent pushback power he gets. Like, I continue to believe this is a guy that in year one at Nebraska he's going to make some type of impact. And then with Christian, just like what I saw from him again, just the athleticism flashing. I think he even said it himself. Like still kind of getting comfortable, like getting back to his spots. Like you kind of see him like dropping back in the zone and taking a second to find his man, which down the stretch late last year, you kind of saw him dropping naturally into spots. I think this is kind of just game one wrinkles, but you can see the athleticism on display just as he's like tracking guys downfield.
Yeah, and I'm definitely asking him to do more too, because he's so smart, but for his athleticism, he's so fundamentally sound. He does a lot of things. He's a great drill guy, and now you're starting to see it really pick up, globally, because he understands he's got a really, really high football IQ.
Yeah, completely agree. And you can see those the gears grinding, when he's back there. And it's fun to watch. He's really fun to watch. I think that defense is only going to get better as the season goes on.
It's not a lot of offenses that he'll play where he doesn't get a ton of touches, right? It's just one of those things where I always say, like, we're not for everybody, because you have to be really, really unselfish. Like on any given Friday or Thursday, it could be another guy. So being other-centered is really important. And he had to be patient last night because he knows he's got some good matchups on offense, man. It's just you got to pick your spots.
For sure.
Tim, I wanted to get to some guys that aren't in the state of Nebraska or aren't committed yet. Texas just got another 5-star receiver commitment from Jamie French. Does that, in your mind, impact the Michael Terry situation at all?
I don't think so. At this point, like I think what's changed here over this last month is Steve Sarkisian's taken that recruitment kind of personally. I think this summer he sat down with the kid, sat down with the family, watched the film again, and I think a couple months ago, Texas was like obviously recruiting him, but we're recruiting him like he's the number one athlete in the country. Now they're recruiting him like he's the number one athlete. Sark's taking this one over. I think he realizes kind of the unique capabilities Terry brings to an offense. I think also losing CJ Baxter, his starting running back for the season. I think that's something that's given him a little more pause and something that's allowed him to kind of take this recruitment a little more seriously. So between what Texas is doing from an NIL standpoint with him, I think it's just going to be tough to overcome them. But again, like I mean, if he makes it out to this Colorado game next week, I think all bets are off at that point.
So when you're taking a look at I know because you've talked a lot about the start that Nebraska has to have or could potentially the benefit of a fast start to this season. Do you still kind of feel that way given how the table is set for this non-con schedule, that the quicker start Nebraska gets off to, the better it is in the short term?
Yeah, I think so because more than anything, again, it's just like you have to, regardless of like last night's result, you know what I mean? Like maybe that puts a little dampening on, the stakes of the Colorado game, but that's still a game you have to be concerned about, and still a game that, it's not necessarily like a gimme win by any means. So, and regardless of all of that, this team needs to show that they can win the games they're supposed to win. They haven't done that in the past. Like for example, Christian Jones, I asked him last night again, I was like, hey, like, closing in on a decision, like what do you want to see from Nebraska? And it's just like, again, showing that improvement over the year, winning those games you're supposed to win, like taking on-field strides, showing that the development is there. I think you have to start off this year strong. And again, like I think when you're looking ahead to the 2026 class as well, it's the amount of guys that are coming in for the Colorado game, the amount of eyes that are going to be on Nebraska early on, where, you look at the schedule down the stretch and you look at the weather down the stretch, it's just harder to get recruits in. It's harder to get recruits' eyes on like more of Big Ten like brawls. Like down the stretch of the season, you've got Wisconsin and Iowa. Like recruits and fans in general, they tune in for the highlights. They tune in for they're going to tune in for Colorado, Nebraska because it's Shedeur versus Dillon. We get down the stretch of the season when it's Wisconsin and Iowa, and it's like, okay, Nebraska's going to run the ball 15, 20 times, and so and you know what I mean. Like it's going to be like this physical running game. You're not going to get the eyes that Colorado is going to get.
So we unfortunately, and we fell victim to it this morning just because Colorado played last night. Nebraska isn't afforded the luxury to look past anybody. Mm-hmm. So when you're trying to pit that against the recruiting phenomenon of what next weekend means, how leery are you of what's happening or going to happen tomorrow?
A little bit, just because, but I don't think that's the thing. I think as a fan base, we've started to look ahead. But I think as a program, I don't think Nebraska internally has looked ahead to Colorado. Obviously, they watched last night's game, I'm sure, and I'm sure they've got some scouting tidbits ready for the week ahead. But I think the focus is completely on UTEP, and I do think Nebraska, to a certain extent, has the depth now. Where this wasn't a thing in the past where you go into these type of games and you're a little concerned about certain things. I think Nebraska now has the depth where this is the type of game where they should be able to run away with this. Like down the stretch of this game, they should be run away with it. We've talked all week kind of on our own predictions for the game. I kind of see it a good chance that heading into halftime or midway through the second quarter, it's a little maybe too close for comfort just because of what this UTEP offense and the challenges they present to this defense. But as a unit, I think on both sides, I think Nebraska is going to be able to just overwhelm them with size and speed.
Mm.
Tim, is there something that you're looking at from this Nebraska team tomorrow against UTEP where you just kind of think, okay, if this team is who I think they are, if this coaching staff is who I think they are, these are just the types of games they're not going to lose anymore? Does that factor into the way you're thinking about that game tomorrow at all?
Yes, absolutely. And you want to see significant strides from specific units. This is the type of game that Nebraska's wide receiver room, for example, for all the hype they've gotten, for all the mismatches they present, this is the type of game where we should see 5-6 guys get really involved tomorrow. Whether that's Thomas Fidone, whether that's Jamal Banks, Jalen Lloyd, whoever that is, you need to see a couple guys really get involved and win their one-on-one matchups. even if they're not necessarily getting the ball. You want to see a balanced run game. You want to see, they plan to use all 4 running backs. Like, I want to see what all 4 look like, and I want to see, what does 1 or 2 emerge. This is the type of competition where 1 or 2 of these guys should emerge, especially along the interior. Nebraska's interior of their O-line is the strength. And you look at UTEP's defense, their strength on the D-line is their edges. So Nebraska should be able to have some success up the middle. And you hope, against this type of team, they're able to, because that would not necessarily bode well, but you have to check that box off before you get into Big Ten play.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back and maybe it's a Burkhead, Amir, tail end, Roy Halou stretch. I don't remember, except in the 90s early, where Nebraska would actually use a real game to try out a position group as deep as the running back. Like, I think these guys are fully on audition tomorrow. And I'm just telling you, somebody that's been there, Tim, it's a mindset thing more than it is a physical thing, right? Like, it's tough to know I need to maximize in the moment whenever my number's called. Like, that's a different sort of thing than just your actual physical talents.
Yeah, it's who turns it on. Like, it's who wakes up and who's ready to tote the rock tomorrow. Like, and that's just how it is. Like, specifically with that unit, it is so much on who's turned it on. And I think I wouldn't be surprised necessarily, because we saw it again in the spring game where, Dante Dowdle didn't really hear his name called a whole lot in spring by the coaching staff, and then spring game comes along and he turns it on. Wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if he's the one that, just on game day, he's the one that's wired, and down the stretch tomorrow's game, we see him break a couple.
I think he's definitely the most physical of the bunch. Like, if I had to slot it early, it'll just be curious to see, when it comes to feel and kind of being on call, who answers that the best. Because he's definitely a rhythm guy, but he's probably the most powerful of the 4.
Yeah, I'd agree. And someone I wouldn't be surprised if who just turns it on tomorrow. I think consistently throughout his career, the cool thing about Ramir Johnson has just been every week we're why doesn't he play more? It's almost like a thing of during practice, he's just kind of this guy, and then on game day, he turns into who he is on game day. He's been this consistent playmaker for Nebraska. This coaching staff likes him. I think Ramir kind of gets left out of these running back conversations just because he's the known commodity compared to relatively the known commodity. But again, wouldn't be surprised to see a little more from him tomorrow as well.
Yeah, this is an interesting conversation, because sometimes coaches have to make the decision. In this case, EJ, who's the lowest maintenance? Because sometimes when you're making decisions like this, you have to think, well, who can handle the news the best? Ramir, in my opinion, is clearly the lowest maintenance. He needs the fewest things to conditionally be right to perform at a level. The next, in my opinion, is probably Emmett. So if he knows in the back of his mind that those guys can kind of handle curveballs a little better, you may see a couple of other guys that maybe need to get off to a good start, get that opportunity. And if that's a guy like Dowdell and he gets into a rhythm early, I mean, that may be all she wrote.
Yeah, and I know people want to see it. I mean, Rule himself said he's we're not going to take it slow with Dylan. We're throwing him right into the fire. But I mean, again, tomorrow is the type of game where Nebraska wants to play this physical style of football. They don't need to throw it 25, 30 times tomorrow. They really don't. They should be able to lean on that running game, especially down the stretch where show some things on film, just get Dylan comfortable and get the wide receivers comfortable, but don't put too much on film where it's okay, all of a sudden, Colorado, again, I don't know what was happening at the end of that game, but you shouldn't be throwing it.
That was incredible.
Up 2 scores with 2 minutes left.
It was incredible. I'm either you're just really, really defiant or
stupid.
You have no confidence in your ground game. I mean, if nothing else, just to chew clock.
It doesn't make any sense too, because I think, again, all offseason they've talked, and talk, especially at that program, talk is one thing compared to what you actually do on the field, but they've talked about being more of a balanced offense, and you saw that a little bit last night. But for the additions they made in the transfer portal, on the offensive line and at running back, you should be able to run the ball better against that specifically that opponent. Like if you look at their run, like my question about their O-line is how they're going to hold up in pass pro, because all of those guys are lauded and come from programs where they were graded highly as run blockers. They now are going to be asked to draw back 30 to 35 to 40 times a game. And they didn't pass that test last night. And I just have no clue how they're going to hold up against Nash Hellmacher and Ty Robinson on the interior.
We're talking with Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. Tim, I want to go back to something you said about Nebraska's game plan versus UTEP tomorrow, because I'm trying to find a good answer on what is the right balance between doing what you said about just hammering the run game and being able to exploit UTEP there versus making sure Dylan kind of gets enough live game reps to be ready for Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I think that ratio right now just has to be, I think you started off just like 50-50, just like what this coaching staff does. And then I think down the stretch, if you have the success offensively and defensively that you hope to, I think that turns into more of a 60-40 run game where Dylan still gets an opportunity to kind of create some things off of the run, in play action or RPO. But again, like I don't think you need to see him out there just like chucking it deep in like the middle to late of the third or fourth quarter.
Of the Big Ten teams that played, and we'll get a chance to look at Michigan State tonight, who's most like you thought they were heading into the season?
I mean, of what I saw, Minnesota. I just don't think. I think this is
think they may be in trouble.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a rough year. I think PJ Fleck's in trouble. I think all offseason we'd kind of seen this like, hey, PJ Fleck's kind of looking for a way out. Like he did look into that UCLA job. He did put his name in for a couple other jobs that were open this year. I think he's looking for a way out, and I think this is maybe a case of he's kind of overstayed his ceiling. Like what he can do with that program. I think he's overstated to the point that like they've already reached that ceiling, and he might not be that hot name on the coaching carousel anymore.
This is weird because they're not in the conference, but regionally, I think they may be somebody that Nebraska will see on the recruiting trail quite a bit. How much does Missouri intrigue you when it comes to meeting recruits on the recruiting trail?
It's because the thing is with the way they operate right now, they can get in on nearly anybody right now and swing it.
Drink's pretty good at what he does.
Yes, and they earlier this cycle back in the spring, they ended up striking out with those guys, but they went into Dallas and basically reached out to the top 3 offensive tackles, and they were like, all right, here we have this on the table. Like, if you don't take it, someone else will. But they're putting up those kind of deals where guys just are having a hard time saying no. And they do a good job, to their credit as well, of building relationships and kind of trying to lock in that state. Nebraska's already look ahead to 26 and even in 25. Like some of these guys in the St. Louis area, in the greater, just was in the state of Missouri, you have a hard time going into that state and pulling guys out because of what Missouri is right now. The ability they have to kind of keep guys in the state, the relationships they're building, the fact that they're getting in on guys in their state early, that wasn't a thing in the past. Like Missouri wasn't doing that. They were finding out about guys just as much as everybody else was, but they weren't going out and identifying guys in state that they wanted down the line. And so I think you're going to see them a lot more on the recruiting trail. And again, I think they're building off of what they left off last year. I thought they may take a step back, but then they attacked the transfer portal the way they did, and they kind of replenish at specific spots and address specific needs. They're a threat. I think they're a threat in the SEC. I think they're a sleeper college football playoff pick as like maybe the third SEC team potentially in there.
I don't love Cook like some other people, but watching Pine get so many snaps, like
their schedule's not bad either.
Yeah, they got a pretty favorable schedule. I just know I see them enough in the Metro. Like they kind of bug me a little bit,
Tim, speaking of a recruit from the state of Missouri, one kind of washed up on Nebraska shores the other day in Mac Markway. Do you know? No, you're the last person I'm going to ask because I've asked everybody else. No one knows what happened here, or no one's talking about what happened here. Like, do we have any?
Although Coach Rule talking about his eligibility was interesting.
Yeah, so he's eligible this year, although he's got some catching up to do. Like, what do we know, if anything, about Mac Markway and how this all occurred?
Yeah, I mean, as far as how this all occurred, I'm still trying to figure out clarification. I was chasing down different people all week, trying to just get some type of clarity on what exactly happened here. Again, I think the story right now is the only way he's eligible to play is he didn't technically enter the transfer portal. He showed up at Nebraska one day. Nebraska didn't quote unquote seek him out, and he ended up enrolling as a student and then showed up at Matt Rule's office like, hey, I also want to play football here. And
you know what's funny about I'm TV, I'm kind of vibing with you because I think if you're going to stand on business, it would be you can't tell somebody where they can and can't go to school. Like it may boil down to something if you're like trying to find I'm dropping this in air quotes, loophole, that might be the ground that Nebraska stands on. Can't tell them where he can and can't go to school.
Right, exactly. And you think about this coaching staff too, and some of the relationships they have. Like, there's plenty of ways to, navigate this without directly contacting anybody.
It feels kind of like the Baker Mayfield just showing up to Oklahoma thing. Like he just rolls up. He's like, "Hey, I want to play football, coach."
Yeah,
like what?
Kind of.
Tim, before we let you go here, I've been getting this from everybody this week that we talked to. We got to get a season prediction out of you. How do you feel Nebraska's going to do this year?
Yeah, I've debated this all season. I think I've stuck with 8-4, but I consistently change on which 4 that'll be. And because I have a hard time if this team is who we think they are, I have a hard time seeing them losing 3 games at the end of 3 straight games at the end of the season. But you look at the schedule and you're like, okay, where do 4 losses come from? I think it is those final 3 games. I think you at least lose 2 of them. I think this Colorado game is still a toss-up just because I do think they can score so fast. And what's going to make Colorado interesting is they score so fast. Those weapons are legit, and they will test Nebraska's secondary. But I think Nebraska has the advantage in almost every single facet of that game after having watched them last night. But yeah, again, like Rutgers going into the season was a bigger threat, but now, they're dealing with so many injuries. I just wonder what that team looks like by the time or by the time they show up in Lincoln. But I do think 8-4 is kind of where I'm sitting because I do think, in the middle of that stretch as well, I think you do drop 1 or 2.
It's incredibly unanimous.
That's our guy, Tim Verghese, inside Nebraska. You're in good company. It seems like everybody's on 8-4.
All right. I'll see y'all later.
All right. See you in the morning, TV.
That's Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. We'll give our predictions later in our Bet On It segment at 9:30.
I won't.
That's fine. I will.
It's fine. It's your show anyway.
DB, are you gonna participate or no?
No.
All right.
Well, you got your partner in crime now. You don't need me.
There he is. That's my guy.
Oh, skirt and pom-pom time.
We're going to hang out on Monday. We're going to watch some Florida State BC.
I'll take BC. He's back there in the corner. I'll go ride with him.
We will have more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, live at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are, I don't know, DB's trying to arrange guests live on the air.
I am, actually. He walks in and he tries to like sneak in. We may put him on air.
We had a couple of tough.
Don't act like you don't hear me back there. I saw you walk in.
Got apostrophe in the house. That's all right. We got a good crowd here at the.
Mr. Principal showed up
at the live breakfast brought to you by EP Foundation.
Glad you brought your better half. Hi, Sarah. Old Dookie Clint.
DB's just gonna have conversations with everybody else the rest of the show.
Man, it's getting kind of crazy. It's kind of it's a little more crowded than I thought.
I know this is kind of outside of your preferred number of people to be hanging out with.
That's okay.
Does the distance help?
No, the boss broke the ice.
Okay.
I hadn't seen him in so long.
I think I know
it's always funny when you don't know if a guy's a hugger.
Yeah.
Because
you like go in for it. And
I went. I had to pull him in. He's a rail. It's easy to pull. Get in here. Get in here.
You know, it's all right. It's good. It's good to see everybody.
Did you see your tough hangs over there?
I did. Yeah, that's all right. Are they wearing the shirts, Wyatt? Oh, I love it.
Wait, you responded only to Wyatt, not Asian Wyatt? Well, she does have her tough hang on.
They both do. I love it. That's incredible. That means we've got 3 show themed shirts here. We got Well Actually and a couple of tough hangs.
And we got a dookie.
Was he? He's not wearing a Dookie Clint shirt though.
No, he's back on Nebraska.
That's all right.
He took a couple years off.
He took a couple years off.
I got a chance. I got a chance to talk to him in Nebraska City yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was Nebraska City?
Duke, Clint, how was it? It was pretty good. Nebraska City was good. It's a good crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, they asked some hard questions, but it's okay.
Well, I try not to ask you those.
Hey, so Christian Jones is a thing.
What?
I'm glad people still understand that he's important.
Like he as a recruit for Nebraska.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
He's not an afterthought.
I didn't know.
He's only getting better.
I didn't know at any point that he was an afterthought. Is that a thing that's happened?
No, that's a good thing. You just stay with that theme right there.
I like to, sometimes I have my head buried in the sand a little bit. I miss what's going on around me. Oh man, we got all sorts of phone calls going. I guess
the party broke out.
I guess we'll take some calls here. We got our guy Cody wants to talk a little high school football. Cody, what's going on, bud? Cody, what's up?
Cody,
good morning.
Cody Genatone, how are you?
Gentlemen?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. Getting excited for some football tomorrow. Got to go watch season opening football for Gretna last night.
Yeah, what'd you think?
We missed Mike Kale's mind on defense.
Opener, we'll see.
Well, Knutsen's pretty good though.
Yeah, absolutely.
23 of 28 for 360 and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that was Sauter's guy. He was waiting to see if real time he could spin it as well as he's seen him in practice, and apparently he can. He can throw it.
And congratulations to you, by the way. Nice little win last night.
To our team, not necessarily ODB.
Just to you, DB.
There's still some emotional difference there being from Omaha North with those guys.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I've been around those guys a long, long time, so there's still that tug, but my allegiance is firm with where my feet are planted. But yeah, it's always good to see those guys.
Yeah. Did you get to watch much? I'm sure Ravi did. Did you get to watch much of the North Dakota State Colorado game?
I saw start to finish. We had two things going on. So while the guys were during the delay a little bit, and then after, while the guys were getting dressed, we watched two games. So it was North Dakota State and Colorado, and it was Minnesota State and Northwest Missouri State. And Cody, I think now may be a time. I'm officially concerned about Northwest Missouri State. Right,
I did not get to see much of them.
Yeah. They were down 29-0 at one point. They pulled within 29-22. But I don't know. It looks like a little bit different of a program here the last handful of years.
Cody, you forget that DB is a full-on psycho and will just he'll just forego sleep. If he's like, I got 18 games to watch, he's just like, I won't sleep for 3 days.
Well, it's like it's like 3:40, and I'm weighing the risk reward
of going to sleep.
Yeah, because I know that we're gonna have
You're like,
we're
I got
probably
2
gonna
hours.
have to go recruit tonight,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, well, shoot, he's gonna bring us back at 7 Saturday morning.
I'm usually texting him anywhere between 3 and 5 a.m.
He's that guy. Yeah,
I'm not like that. DB will be like, hey, did you watch that D2 JUCO game last night? And I was like, no, I didn't. I went to bed.
What time did I respond to your text the other day?
God, I don't even know.
No, I'm talking to Ryan. It was in the 5s or 4s.
This dude doesn't sleep.
I mean,
he's a full-on psycho.
That was about 5:50.
Yeah.
Well, we're up by 5:50 because we work. Like, that's not a big deal.
Hey, no, I just was gonna say, I don't get why. I think North Dakota State had something with handing the ball off to Shamar, and it just felt like the OC kept trying to get a little cute there instead of just pounding the ball.
It's hard not to want the ball in Cam's hands. Like,
yeah,
he's legit. I'm curious to
appreciate the call, Cody.
So you know what I want to see tonight? I want to see SDSU and Okie State.
Oh, I do too.
I just want to compare and contrast because I don't think Colorado's very physical up front, but I do think Oklahoma State is.
And you like SDSU's lines.
Yeah, they're spectacular.
So we'll see. You want a good comparison there.
Yep, I do.
I will have to catch that. I will have to catch up on that one and pull a DB and spend some time overnight because I gotta get out to my guys at Miller North tonight.
Yeah. That's the one Coach Samanji wants to go to. He's like, well, we play Millard West before we play Bellevue West. I'm like, I don't know about that.
I just got to start off the new era, you know.
You know what the coin flip was in the coach's office?
What's that?
Concession stands.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's childish, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's get to out of breath Brian real quick. He wants to talk some CU Buffs. What's up, Brian?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Rob? What's going on, Damon?
I'm just trying to make it. How about you?
All right. I would have been down there today with you guys, but just had a little hernia surgery, so I got to choose when I'm going to spend my energy. I'm going to take it to the football game tonight.
It's
we got
not
the money.
contagious, man.
That's like the third hernia surgery. That's what happened to Taggy.
You can't catch those though. It's not going around. It's not the flu.
You can tell he's starting to get comfortable. He's running his mouth again.
All right, Brian, we got another one. We got another one for Illinois. We'll see you then. All right.
No. But hey, I think if we play Colorado, I think the players that'll be in play will be Ramir Johnson. Matching up on their linebacker, what you were bringing up earlier, Damon, and I can see those packages with Harburg will fit in pretty good.
Yeah.
Versus them. I think that worked out pretty good.
I think it's funny how when Coach Rule talked about using Harburg and then Sat doubled down, it was like, well, that's an indictment of our tight end room. And I was like, actually, if you watch any big play that happened last year, Harburg was probably involved.
Yep.
I think they realized that
pretty good.
That guy's pretty good with the ball in his arms.
Yeah. And I think Colorado was teams were trying to cover that line yesterday because there is no way that Rutgers should have covered their line with 34 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Did you see Howard's head coach? He thinks the same thing. And I joked, and maybe it's funny, maybe it's not, but it's like with NIL in play, I mean, you may see a lot of guys try to get the cover.
Yeah, I turned the game. I said, they're not going to cover. I look up later. I was like, how in the world did this happen? I've never seen that with 34 seconds left.
Apostrophe. Who had the 50-point line last night?
A bunch of teams had a 50-point.
And it was 50. And it was 51-0. Who was that?
Missouri had a 48.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Arkansas,
Central Connecticut got 66 points scored on them, and Arkansas Pine Bluff got 70 ran up on them.
It's almost like Vegas knows.
Yes, they do.
and
free money this week, fellas.
And unfortunately, so do the teams that are playing. I think Colorado.
Yeah, but
listen, I joked with somebody. I can't remember who texted me about what Colorado was doing late, and I was like, I think Dion maybe wants more NIL revenue because
he's trying to cover.
I had no idea why he was throwing the ball with 2 minutes to go.
Hey, they gotta do something to cover those fat Dookie gold chain necklaces that their quarterback got out there looking like EPMD. All right, I'm like, oh man,
he's out there in warm-ups with a $200,000 watch.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm sure he's going to be good with his money.
In the NFL? Yeah, who the Plaxico Birds that got his stuff snatched off that one time?
No, it was Crabtree. It was Crabtree.
It was. I'm like, man, come on, man. Y'all got. I'm not putting that on my neck and getting that ripped off. Wear that when you go to the club. All right, and go hang out with Hammer like your daddy used to.
Wow.
But that's it. So,
Plaxico had some other trouble at the club, Brian.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate the call. We're brought to you here by our Team Jack Foundation. Make sure you get to teamjackfoundation.org to get involved with this great organization. You can volunteer. You can donate right on the page. You can see what events they've got coming up as well. teamjackfoundation.org, trying to find better treatments and one day a cure for childhood brain cancer. Make sure you get involved. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little UTEP football with their play-by-play voice, Jon Teicher, here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
It's by far the most diverse defense that I have that I've gone against in my career, seen on tape. People say it's a 3-3 stack, and some people think you're just going to line up in an odd stack, and that's what it is. No, sorry, that ain't it. It is. It'll be 4 down in a heartbeat. It'll be 2 high, 1 high, 3 high, and Tony White, the defensive coordinator over there, is a heck of a football coach. El Paso native. I want to shout that out. It's awesome to see El Paso is doing big time things, and no doubt in my mind, Tony White's going to be a head football coach really soon. He does an amazing job on the defensive side of the ball. So we know we got our work cut out for us, but we're excited for the challenge.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, live at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill on the Pillar exterior stage, where we've got this live breakfast going on, presented by EP Foundation Repair. Speaking of which, if you're here, you can grab these hats over here by EP Foundation Repair. They are free for anybody that has come here to hang out with us. Make sure you grab one of those hats. I'm going to grab one before our way out here. And you still got time. We've got an hour 15 left in the show to come on down and hang out with us, like Jon Teicher is doing right now. He's the play-by-play voice of UTEP football. Jon, how are you this morning?
Doing great, guys. Good to be with you.
Now, there's that voice. Jon, interesting last night, the announcement is made, and it seems to make sense given the fact that with his familiarity a year ago with this staff, but it looks like Locklear's going to be the guy. Do you like the late announcement? Did you kind of feel that was the way it was going to go, and what does that mean for UTEP, do you think, on tomorrow?
honestly, I didn't know which way it was going to go, and I don't think that means anything other than Skylar Locklear is going to take the first snaps in the first series against the Huskers on Saturday. I think it was very, very close. Obviously, it went down to the final a couple of days before the season opening game. I think that Locklear does have the advantage because obviously he spent more time in the offense than has Cade McConnell, but McConnell has the edge in terms of actual game experience. I think they're both going to play. So Locklear will get the first snaps, and we'll see how it goes from there. But we're going to see, I think, plenty, at least in the opener, of Cade McConnell as well.
John, how comfortable do you think the coaching staff is going with the 2-quarterback system for an extended period of time? Is it in your mind, hey, let's just figure out into the season who's our guy, or do you think this is something they may carry on throughout the season?
Well, I asked that exact question of Scotty Walden last week, how comfortable he would be with playing 2 quarterbacks. And initially he said if it's something we need to do, it's something we'll do. But eventually he's going to pick the guy. My next question was, would you expect to do that over a 12-game period? And he said, absolutely not. So he's going to decide on one of the two, but he does feel that over the course of a season, and particularly the way the sport is now, is that you need more than one quarterback. Very rarely can you get through a 12 or 13-game schedule playing just one individual at that most vital position.
John, it's interesting. I'll be on the call tomorrow for the radio network and just doing homework. How important is it, do you think, that Nebraska fans understand, and maybe for the strength of UTEP tomorrow, that we remember that JJ is a guy that has over 230 carries and 1,300 yards. We hear a ton about pace and space, but he's a good running back.
Well, he sure is. And, some would say, will he be able to make the transition to the FBS level, having attained those 1,300 yards at FCS Austin P? I think the one thing for him, and every one of the skill guys that they brought with them from Austin P in the FCS level, is they can all run. Mm-hmm. They all have great speed. And generally, I think that's something that translates. If you have success at a lower level and you can run, I think you can pretty much play anywhere.
John, if you're looking at how this could play out for UTEP, what do you think their ideal scenario is in terms of style of play and kind of pace throughout the game? I know we talk a lot about them wanting to speed things up. Like, how do you think that looks if things are going well for UTEP?
Well, obviously they're scoring. I think if you're going to play fast, you've got to score points, because if you don't, your defense is probably going to be out there a little bit more than you'd rather be. So I think the Miners have to get off to a good start, and obviously if they're going to play at the tempo they want to play at, they've got to come out of it with points. So I'm not sure. I think that the style and tempo that UTEP plays is one that's going to cause some issues for some people as you get into the meat of the schedule, because with only a couple of days of real heavy practice to get ready for an opponent of that type, if you don't play the same way, I think it's very, very difficult to emulate what UTEP does. I think Nebraska, obviously, this being the season opening game, I don't think it'll bother the Huskers. They've had months and months and months to get ready for what they'll see from UTEP. But once the schedule really gets underway in earnest, I think what the Miners do can cause some problems for people.
John, rightfully so. Westmoreland gets a lot of the headlines, but you guys do the single-digit thing at UTEP too, and I can't help but, and I hope I'm not butchering the last name. I better be able to say it right for tomorrow's broadcast, but Tonga wearing a single digit at the nose is very active. He's explosive. How much of what UTEP wants to do to have success tomorrow is not just about Westmoreland, but that defensive front too, just playing that odd front?
Right, and it's a veteran group, and they've got some accomplished guys, some guys that have played a lot of football and some environments like Memorial Stadium. So sure, I think UTEP believes defensively they've got to be able to stop the run. They can't allow Nebraska to be physical against them, particularly in the running game. And if they're able to at least slow the Huskers down a little bit, they think maybe that'll give them a chance.
We're talking with Jon Teicher. He's the play-by-play voice for UTEP football. Jon, as you've done your prep for this Nebraska game, where have you seen some areas that you think could be problematic for UTEP that Nebraska can do?
Well, again, I think the Huskers' physicality, particularly defensively, their size and their physicality, certainly could provide some issues for a UTEP offensive line. It's extremely green. You've got that veteran Husker offensive line, and on the other side of things, I think that Husker group has started 153 games collectively. UTEP has 46 collective starts among its assemblage of offensive linemen. So I think dealing with what Nebraska shows you defensively up front and their physicality, I think is something that it's going to be interesting to see how and if UTEP can handle.
It's interesting. I mean, with Nebraska, I think special teams is something that's been a concern, at least talked about openly as not a for sure thing all offseason. When you look at UTEP and their special teams advantage, work in progress, like how is Buzz and how have those guys been in the offseason when you look at UTEP special teams?
Well, they've certainly got a dynamic return weapon in Cam Thomas, who wears number 5 for UTEP. Thomas at the FCS level at Austin Peay in his 2 years there returned 2 punts and a kickoff for touchdowns, all of which were longer than 80 yards. He's absolutely electric, explosive, and he can be a problem. And they have spent quite a bit of time on their coverages and return games, and I think potentially again, because Scotty Walden believes in recruiting speed, that UTEP's coverage and return squads could be a problem for other teams.
Jon, as you kind of look at the season as a whole for UTEP in year one under Scotty Walden, what would be a successful season in terms of progress in year one for him?
I think just competing in Conference USA. This is UTEP's 20th year as a member of the league, and they haven't won a single conference championship, haven't even been close to doing so. And I think just more favorably competing in the league would be a victory for Scotty. And I'm not speaking for him, because I know his goals and his aspirations are much higher than that. But I think certainly when you take a bit of a broader view, the ability to compete for the Conference USA championship would be something that on an annual basis would be something that Scotty and certainly all that follow UTEP football would aspire to.
Jon, I never want to mistake activity for achievement, but first year brings a ton of energy, a change in mindset, protocol, and procedure. How effective do you think the juice that he's brought early on can impact this program?
Oh, I think it's incredible. I've been around. I've been doing this a long time, and I've been around this UTEP program for a long time, and I've never seen anything even remotely close to this. I think it's exactly what this program has needed. And I think that what Scotty and his staff and his student athletes have brought to this program and in this community is exactly what was needed here, and should be a model for, I think, programs at this level moving forward. UTEP had gone their previous 2 or 3 hires with veteran, if you want to call them retread type head coaches who were on the bounce back. And Scotty's kind of a young and up and comer, and I think that's the way to go for programs at UTEP's level. So I think what Scotty has brought has been absolutely vital, and I think will be a blueprint for this program moving forward.
That is Jon Teicher, the play-by-play voice for UTEP football. Jon, we hope you enjoy your stay in Lincoln, but hopefully not too much. But I hope we're hospitable.
Safe travels, Jon.
Looking forward to it, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, John. That's Jon Teicher, play-by-play voice for UTEP football. Coming up next, we got Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports and NEB Preps here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today.
Rogers takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35, to the 40. He's to the 45. He's to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 20, to the 10. He's all the way home. Holy moly. Man, woman, and child did that. Put him in the aisle.
60 minutes, balls out. Let's open up the whole can of kick out.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score.
You fight if it means you die. You fight. You fight.
Here's a hand up to Thunder, who gives it back to Mike Stuntz. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out there. 40. It is. There's Krause. 15, 10, 5, 7. Yes!
Armstrong looking, holding, throws out the flat pass caught by Amir, trying to avoid the rush. He does. He has a first down, bouncing off tacklers to the 45, Amir to the 40, Amir to the 35, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Oh, touchdown, Amir Abdullah. What an amazing catch and run by the All-American running back with 20 seconds to go.
We stay with them, and we shut them down because we can.
Kellogg's throw. It's going to be tipped and caught! It's caught! It's caught! It's a touchdown, Western Town!
They give it to Janovich, and he powers for a first down and more. There goes Andrew Janovich. His first career touchdown will tie the game. Who's the guy that's supposed to make the difference? I'm surrounded by it, and you guys freaking do it. We on the same page? Fight, fight, fight!
Martinez in trouble. Reverses. Trying to break the day. Martinez up the sideline. Still running. Look at him. Taylor Martinez. What a run. He's got a leg. Martinez. Wow. Taylor Martinez. Touchdown, Huskers.
It doesn't matter how you get here. It matters about what you do once you're here.
Red, white, instant great jerseys. Great toss up top, wide open. And welcome to Lincoln, Nebraska, Dylan Arraiola.
Buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, and KFOR in Lincoln for this third hour. We're live at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill for our pregame breakfast presented by EP Foundation Repair. We are joined now by the one and only Mike Sautter, Hurrdat Sports and NAB Preps. What's up, Mike?
Damn, Shane. That was good.
Jerome,
good.
what's up, buddy? How you
getting
feeling?
after it?
Skinny.
No, I know. No, I'm going with meth. That's what I'm going with. I mean, seriously.
You might have to get some of this breakfast we got going around here. You look like you're.
She came over and asked, and I was like, "No, I
What you? No, I know what you thought.
I'm a usual bowl cereal.
No Lucky Charms here, so you can't eat.
I had Lucky Charms this morning.
Did you?
WWWD. That's what he thought.
What would
Walter White do?
Oh. I think you forgot one. You got an extra W in there.
What would Walter White do?
I had.
You put a hat on and start calling you Heisenberg.
I had the biggest 12-year-old breakfast you've ever seen this morning.
There you do.
Lucky Charms. I had. Did you know that they make cinnamon toast crunch like breakfast bar treat things?
Yeah.
So I had one of those. Those aren't very good.
Wait, so you had
he had sugar.
You had
he had sugar.
cereal and then a cereal bar?
And wait, and I had those little bites muffins.
Wow. Zoe eats those.
Yeah, exactly. I had a package of those too.
Ryan, what did I text you when you said he was skinny? What did I text you? He eats like a child. What did we just hear?
Well, see,
Lucky Charms, Cinnamon Toast Crunch Bar, and Little Debbie little
full
muffin bites.
disclosure, RP. That's the difference between me and him. He put you on blast.
Yeah,
I would never.
I had
He just like low key gave him up.
Sorry.
It's all right.
What does he care?
Inexperience.
I'll probably have a Nick Saban snack a little later today.
What is that?
Oh, milk cream pies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, those are good.
Got a box of them too.
Got
I had one yesterday.
Didn't I tell you about the time he had like 17 things on his grocery list and he spent like $34?
Yeah, none of them were for anyone in his family except for himself.
It was incredible. There were like a list of 17 things for like $34.
Yeah, man. I had 53 cents in the fuel whatever
rewards
the other day. Yeah.
That's incredible.
53 cents.
I was pretty happy about 33.
Yeah. I got gas for like $2.18 though.
Incredible.
Feeling good?
Feel great about that. Save some money.
How were you feeling last night out at little weather delay?
A little hot.
Well, it was muggy at first.
Yeah, a little hot. No, it was
cooled off later.
Yeah.
It was all right. The weird part is they moved the game up. When if they would have just kept it at 7, it would have been fine.
Probably.
Hard to tell though. Hard to tell.
Yeah.
Especially what the forecast looked like earlier. It seemed like that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, there's some valid points to that, but even when I picked up food late, it was raining.
Yeah. I mean, it would have
So I don't know if I want to play in that.
Yeah.
Playing rain.
Yeah, you could tell it was definitely the opener
Soft.
though.
It's going rain.
You can definitely tell it was the opener last night.
Yeah.
It was
sloppy.
There was 23 total penalties.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's too many.
And one team, not the team in blue and white, only had 50 yards in penalties, 50 something.
No,
you had more than that.
The team in blue and white was the team that had only 53 yards.
Yeah,
He said they had 13 for 145.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
That's a lot.
Insane.
It's a lot of penalties. Still got the W though.
Yeah, no problem.
Still got
I mean,
the W.
we earned probably about 8 or 9 of those.
Some of them are like you just can't talk after the play type of stuff.
Well, the funny thing is
like people should know that by now.
13 didn't say a word. But it was. I felt like I'm not mad at that one because we could have easily been flagged on the first one because the second man usually gets caught, and Quentin was the one that couldn't keep his hands to himself.
Right.
So I felt like that one broke even. I thought the PIs were ridiculous. So
The one in the end zone was a little aggressive.
Hey, we kept watching it. It's like what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard enough to stop Darian.
He had
But
a good game.
no, he's good.
Really
That
good.
catch
Darian
and
Jones is good.
he our sideline guy was fantastic. Like, he could keep the peace.
Mhm.
He's kind of funny and he had a great look at it. And if I was like a photographer, I would have taken a snapshot of how he went down to go get that look. I mean, he looked at he's on about the 4. He looked at it the whole way, never wavered. He's like, touchdown. It was a heck of a catch. Now we were pissed that they had the first down. I mean, but you know, that's where you got to get your composure and get a stop. Right? But he ran a great. He's good. He's
Darian.
awful thin, really, really long.
He'll
But
get there.
he can go get it.
His brother was a late guy like that, bloomer guy, that got a
He's
lot
gonna be bigger than Donovan.
Yeah, well, he's already taller.
Yeah, he's gonna be bigger.
He's already taller than Donovan is, and he has that little chip on his shoulder.
100%.
So I think that'll only help him. He'll get.
You know,
he'll be fine.
I like Dortch.
Yeah, he's tough.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. He is.
There were some big hits. Last night.
Yep. That was a very physical game. I looked at a lot of our guys in the locker room and some guys that were sore. Very sore.
Sore today.
Yeah.
I will say one of them that I did not think was a penalty was a big hit early, where the 3 guys just kind of ran into each other.
I don't
like.
So you know the thing that bugs me
Like, it
about
was
that
kind of
is we couldn't even get an explanation.
Yeah, I think
it just sounded loud.
It seemed violent, so they threw a penalty.
Number one,
it was certainly not targeting, which they didn't call. They said excessive helmet contact or something.
Which
is not a penalty that I'm aware of.
Like, just let me know what happened, right? Because the 2 guys ran into each other,
and then there was an Omaha North guy kind of in the middle,
and did not get any of that.
No, but it was the 2 West Side guys that ran into each other.
But as I have learned, guess what you can't do?
Ask questions.
Don't go show anybody any video because you will get flagged. Go to your room, sit your little rear end down. That's a 15-yarder. Keep the eye. Nah, it's just not worth it. I mean,
yeah,
it's fine.
What do you get out of it?
Yeah, nothing.
It's not like they're changing it.
It's not like those guys don't have enough headaches at NSAA. Plus, I like the. I mean,
yeah, you don't want to be problematic.
No, it ain't personal. It's just a bad call.
So I was kind of, as I'm thinking about your guys' game last night, like as a coach, is that, and I know you want to execute better than you did. I know you want to play a little cleaner than you did. But is there any part of you, and maybe this is just me doing the overthinking thing again, but is there any part of you that's like, that's kind of a perfect opener?
For Braylon, yes.
Yeah, because it was a tough.
For us along the offensive line, no.
Well, because there's the reason I ask, and I agree with Braylon, but the reason I ask is, okay, you got the W, which is great. But
he got better as the game went along.
And there's a lot of teachable moments.
Yeah, 100%.
The break 100% calmed him down.
Yeah. And he's such a good, like
none of your guys are going to walk away from that and be like, we played great.
Yeah.
Right? Which is the danger.
You know, defensively, we have a new secondary.
Yeah.
So, like, I felt like that was good for them. A couple PIs early and kind of managing your emotions. And learning what you can and can't get away with, right? Because we're going to be physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
What are you guys
like
going to do?
find the line. Find the line.
So we need to know where that is.
So you can calibrate. Because, I mean, it'd be really easy in your guys' situation, especially coming off a couple state titles. But a lot of these guys weren't either main contributors on those or they weren't there at all, right? But if you just come out and blow the doors off of somebody, it's really easy to think like, oh, this is just what we do.
Yeah,
and
it would have definitely been a false sense of security because we're not there.
Right. And so that's why I kind of ask, like, yeah, you don't want the 13 penalties for 145. You'd prefer you not get off to the slow start if you're Braylon Allen. You'd like your offensive line to play. Yeah. Allen's the other one.
Braylon Allen, New York Jet.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Braylon Warren. You'd obviously like to maybe get off to a better start, but like your offensive line to play a little bit cleaner. But you go out there and you go, okay, now these guys for sure know that there's work to do.
Yeah.
And I always find value in that. Like if I'm starting an opener, and I don't feel this way about UTEP Nebraska because I think they already know they had work to do. But I think a lot of times, especially if you're a good team with young players, that having a little bit of what you guys went through last night is one of the best things that can happen to you.
That's definitely part of it. And, we're just kind of checking scores and watching, and we'll get out and about tonight. It's tough. Those first games, they're hard.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's why I thought, like, Knutson was impressive, right? Because you've been talking about him for – a month or so.
Yeah.
And he came up on NEB preps, and you're like, he looks the part. We'll see what happens when there's live pads. And
23 of 28 for 3, whatever. It's a pretty good day.
Yeah, you can spin it.
Some of that was rushed. That's total yards. So he ran for, I think, 2 and threw for 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty impressive jump. For his first game starting with that pressure and stuff. There's not a lot of great let me rephrase that. There's not a lot of experienced quarterbacks in high school football this year. And he was one of the names, and he performed extremely well out of the gate.
I thought I was impressed with Gal's poise last night.
He's not bad.
Like, I like the fact he didn't get sped up.
No, yeah.
He took some good shots. He made a few plays with some legs, but I mean, you're down 3 scores and you need one. But I was impressed with his poise. He didn't panic.
I through his scrambling gave you guys a little bit of trouble early.
It did. We had to get on the dry erase board at
figure it out.
Yeah,
yeah.
We did.
He throws a nice ball. He's athletic enough. I was a little surprised, and I know that they're trying to be really careful with Mikey Gow at North because behind him there isn't a lot there at the quarterback. But I thought they were going to maybe use him in the run game, like on purpose.
He's much bigger than I remember him ever being.
He had a nice game. I think you probably are pretty kind of happy.
I'd say if you're Omaha North, you think you got something there. Right?
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out their run game a little bit, though.
They ran for 0 yards or 14 or something.
Well, I think, not that I helped put together stats, but I mean, Ken had minus yards.
Yeah, that's incredible.
For as good a back as he is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And as big as that line is.
How much I'm going to ask you so you don't have to answer. How much do you think of that is Omaha North needs to figure out their running game, and how much of that do you think Westside had a really good run defense?
Westside's defense is pretty good, especially in the front. Seven's really good.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge.
Because I don't think you're going to get those types of results against most of the teams Omaha North's going to play this year.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. And I frankly, I'm not sure. I don't know. When I was at practice for North, it was the first day, and Tyson Terry was playing guard. Well, he's really only just playing defense, but they were working him in at guard. And Larry did tell me, he said, we don't want to play him at center because that means he can't come off the field at all.
Mm-hmm.
If he's playing guard, we can mix him in, give him a breather.
I gave him a huge he was coming out in the building as I was going in afterwards, and I just gave him a big hug. He was gassed.
Yeah, he played played every down but like 3, I think.
Yeah.
I saw him come out. That's crazy.
Especially on the lines.
And he was very good.
Yeah. And a pleasant surprise for us, and because he gave him some shots in that run game. I mean, he's hard to pull against, and he's well coached. But I thought our running, Teicher and Finn ran really, really hard. I mean, there's probably –
and Teicher's not a big kid.
298 pounds between the two of them.
Maybe.
but two great lifters. Like
Yeah.
if you see
Like strong kids, even
like
though they're
Tate
little.
out of his gear, like
KK Jenkins is gonna be the guy. That's what after going to practice, I said that. Like he's gonna be your guy. Even when I was even at practice, beforehand, Coach Lamont was like, "Well, we don't know."
No, Finn is nice though.
Yeah, I'm not poo-pooing him. What I'm saying is that number 6 is the guy.
Yeah, he's and the cool thing about him is he's still learning.
Right.
We talked to him during the break because Coach Cal Bretto does a really, really good job relationally, and I help those guys on offense. So yeah, I can just let Cal go. Right, he's really good at what he does, and Tate's talking to him about running and we're like, hey, don't hope to come out of the back end of some of those runs. Expect to. Right. So you saw the difference in the second half where you better make sure that whistle blows, or he's going to finish the run.
One thing that you normally see on week 1 or 2 even is a bunch of cramping, like kids just a bunch of cramps. Even in like that humidity in that first half, you didn't see any of that. So good on
coaches for getting everybody in shape and feeling good and staying hydrated.
If you go to a Friday night football game tonight, you're seeing some crazy.
What is the weather today? I didn't even pay any attention.
It's supposed to be reasonably, pretty reasonable.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
I need the sun to come out a little bit.
Hey, who's the big?
As long as it's not raining,
I need the sun to come out a little bit because I got to get a double cut in today.
I was having some discussions with a couple of coaches in the Metro. Who's the bigger team, Central or Bellevue West? They're both on the smaller side, right?
Well, up front, Central's bigger.
Bigger?
Yeah. Well, just because you put Wayne and Ackerman.
But I don't really care. Yeah, I don't. Okay.
Like defensive, like those two are the defensive ends.
Yeah.
And then
big kids.
Jerry is not small. He's like 300 pounds, but he's 6 foot, right? And then Stephen Owusu, remember him? He was at Benson.
Yep.
If he can get it figured out, right?
Because Bell West doesn't have
they're
great
not
size.
huge. They have some experience, but they're not huge. That'll be that's going to be the factor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a big factor and a composure thing is with Central. Like, can you not get personal foul penalties and the extra, right? Let's not have the extra. And if they can curb that,
well,
I think
we clearly couldn't conquer that last night. I mean, North was much better at that than we were.
I think they might, honestly. Like going to their practice,
you said it was pretty buttoned up, right?
Very buttoned up and very clean and very crisp and all that. So it's something that they've clearly worked on. So that game is going to be very interesting. Again, the Bellevue West defense is going to look a little different.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to give it all out there, but because it's not my job. But it's going to look a little different. It's going to be a little multiple, and that's going to be a challenge, like mental, like to try and throw the ball or whatever. But they got a really good. Central's got a really good back. Bellevue West still figuring out their running back situation. They got about 3 that are kind of just all right.
You know what's interesting?
I think their best running back is going to be Will Anderson, to be honest.
For a school that has cranked out some fellas in the backfield.
Bradley.
It's interesting to see them not be able to settle in on a guy that can tote it because it's been such a staple of what they do. There was Richardson. I mean,
OJ was pretty good. Yeah.
Ducker was fantastic.
Jalen Bradley
Bradley was ridiculous.
I'll never forget the 496-yard rushing game in the semifinals.
Believe me, I saw the back of his jersey quite a bit. I'm well aware.
Against Millard West.
I think he went for about 2 bills and 1/2 in the state championship game.
I still have
pretty
that
familiar.
Photo. I still have that photo on my phone of him just taking a knee in front of that offensive line.
Just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
It's about 6,500 yards between those last 3 guys there. Yeah. Between Bradley, Ducker, and Richardson.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Their line was pretty all right.
Not bad.
That year was like, here's that photo. You have
so when you're looking at tonight, when you're going to because you're at Newman, right?
Yeah, Norfolk Catholic Newman.
Ground, you're gonna see some ground and pound tonight.
I think so.
What a luxury! What a luxury that is.
C2 football
to be able to just turn around and hand the ball. Yeah.
And that game, I'm pretty happy. Well, I think Schaefer's going to be there with me too.
And then we get him next week in Columbus. Team Schaefer.
Oh, he's going to Columbus next week?
Well, I mean, he's just going home. Watch
Yeah,
little Discoverers. And,
yeah. Booth, I haven't seen him play since I didn't see him last year. So I want to see him, run the ball, play linebacker too.
It's just amazing, like what a peace of mind that is. I remember when Wahoo kind of had the upset in, was that 19?
19, yeah.
And Lubin was getting just
Trevin.
the ability to, it's just a peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hope to see in Lincoln tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just be able to turn around and hand the ball off.
That would be very, very comforting.
The Norfolk Catholic deal is, they're always going to be good, but this is like the first year in, I don't know, feels like 8 that they don't have a D1 lineman.
Yeah.
Right. And they lost their quarterback and they lost a lot, but as long as Jeff Beller's coaching at Norfolk Catholic, I feel pretty good about their chances to win a football game. So that one will be fun. The grass will probably be mowed a little high, just because whatever.
Any sneaky ones on the slate for you? Are you
going
going
to Elkhorn Southeast? Now that they moved it to tomorrow at 4:30, I'm going to go there for the first half before I go to Wahoo because I'm pretty interested. I want to see Jaden Succo is going to be a problem for Elkhorn, for teams trying to defend him. I want to see him a little bit and see how they use him because I think he's probably going to have a pretty big year.
You think we can glean much from what happens in Chandler?
Nah.
Without knowing the competition?
Unless there's an injury or something. No, not really. I'm going to watch that when I get home, because that starts at 9.
Yeah.
Hopefully the YouTube stream isn't like some huddle cam way up in the top. And it's like
football's a lot easier than some other sports.
Baseball's really hard.
Yeah, and I would love for there to be more baseball.
But it's hard to get a camera angle on those.
Right. I do think the Millard South thing is, I hope they win. Hope they represent the state really well. Hope kids play really well, and I hope they kill them, to be honest. And then, just one, I want to be proved right, and two, I just think it's good as someone that is for kids from Nebraska. I want that. That would be awesome because it would give it a little more national attention, maybe, than what they're not getting.
Let me go back to Lincoln for a second when you make your pit stop. Real quick, the Pierre Allen Southeast thing, what's going on there?
I don't know. I'm
really?
not sure. Yeah, I don't.
That recruit, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not overly enamored, to be honest. And just watching him a little bit. So that's just my opinion.
There we go.
I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I just
gotcha.
I'm not overly. I don't think like Nebraska is would be.
Go watch Budenbach.
Cash is a stud.
Coming up next, we're going to get to our
Mean
Nebraska predictions. Me and DB. We'll be back on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It is time for Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. Warhorse Sportsbook, the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets, whether that's in Lincoln or in Omaha. Make sure you get out and support our friends at Warhorse Sportsbook. And tomorrow they've got a game day kickoff party in Lincoln from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. where two winners each hour will win $100 in free slot play. They're also giving away 2 tickets to Nebraska versus Colorado at noon, and you have to be present to win. Make sure you get to warhorsecasino.com for all the details. It's time for predictions.
Hey,
DB.
can I real quick?
You can do whatever you want. What do you want?
Nebraska is a 7-point favorite over Colorado as we speak.
Yeah, I'd lay it.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it may change.
Nebraska hasn't played yet.
I mean, I get that in now.
Yeah.
So let's get after it. We've gotten everybody else's season predictions. We've gotten 8-4. I think unanimous. I literally think it's been unanimous. I don't think anybody said anything other than 8-4. So let's go game by game here, DB.
Well, did you ask that of anybody else? I'm not doing game by game.
You don't want to do game by game?
I'm like Operation Party Pooper, man. I just rain all over the
Listen,
show.
this is your show. It's not their show, so I thought maybe we.
I'll give you a prediction, and I'll let you do game.
You
by
want
game.
to? You want?
How about that?
All right. So, Mike, we're going to do game by game.
Yeah, I hate. You're asking a guy that doesn't even get into schedules fast forward.
I understand
It's
that.
already a stretch for me to give you a prediction of the record.
All right, so me and Mike are going to do schedule real quick,
And I'll
then
just can I
at
do
the end.
Can I just do like random commentary?
Sure, absolutely.
Is that cool?
yeah.
Will you like look at me and give me the
No, you do whatever
sign
you want.
when I can go?
You can talk whenever you want.
Are you sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
As long as Shane doesn't take your mic off.
Nah, Shane's on my team.
Your name's on the show.
Nah, it's just Hurrdat Sports.
I said nobody's name's on the show.
Hurrdat Sports.
We get Sasha up here and make predictions.
Sasha's got one. Look, she nodded. She's like, "Yeah, I got one for you."
All right, let's start.
Where are we bowling?
Let's start tomorrow with tomorrow. Sautter.
How long does it take you to pack, Sasha?
UTEP W.
Yeah.
All right, Colorado.
Dub.
UNI.
Dub.
Illinois.
For sure, dub.
Ooh, 4-0
At Purdue.
Sneaky, but it's going to be a tough one. But that's a dub.
All right, 5-0.
Purdue may rot.
No, I'm just saying 11 sleepy game. Could be
It
cloudy.
is
First
West
road
Lafayette,
game.
and it's their homecoming.
Could be cloudy
Yep,
or
it might
raining.
be packed.
I mean, everybody's talking about how
10,000
like
people packed.
Ryan Walter is like
see
he can
Little
do
Rock
some
last night?
things. That wasn't great.
No.
What the?
Not great.
Is he gonna keep his job?
They
Pittman?
talking about Bobby
No.
Petrino is like the coach in waiting now because he's the offensive coordinator. That would be wild.
You talk about
that would be some Arkansas stuff.
You talk about landing on your feet. That dude has like 2,000 lives.
I would say Petrino's definitely a cat. That dude's got a bunch of lives.
Dude. Yeah, that would definitely be some Arkansas.
All right, so Mike Sauter's got him 5-0.
I'm just saying, everybody keeps
6. I'm gonna go 6 with Purdue.
everybody keeps talking.
7 actually.
No, Purdue is 5. But everybody keeps talking about Ryan Walters and he can be creative. It's like, yeah, you still got to have the dudes to do cool stuff on defense.
Right.
That matters. Let's not forget about how many first-round guys they had in that, or how many NFL guys they had in that Illinois secondary when they were super good that year. All right, you've got them 5-0. We've got Rutgers next.
Rutgers defense is pretty good, but
Manungai. What'd he go? I think he was like 19 for 165 last night.
I don't know if they're gonna be able
He's
to
a
score
headache.
very much. Let's go with the dub because it's a home game.
We got 6-0.
Wow.
At Indiana.
7.
7-0
Easy.
from one Michael Jerome Sauter.
Indiana's like a
at Ohio State.
Wow. Coach Signetti's going to be
big L. I
pissed
don't care.
at
I
you.
don't know that man.
We are not friends. I don't know. At Ohio State.
Ravi was developing a man crush in Indy.
Is a loss.
Loss at Ohio State. UCLA.
Dub, because by then it'll be just unless the
They're going to come off that 4-game stretch too.
At USC.
Tough one because it'll probably be at 9 p.m. or something. Road game.
Road game at
I'll give
USC.
it a loss.
All right, so we're at 8-2. All right, Wisconsin at home.
Because I don't think Wisconsin.
Dub against Wisconsin and at Iowa.
Coin flip.
I need a decision here. We're deciding
At
between
Iowa. It's at 6:30 though. Oh, that place is gonna be nuts.
between 9 and 3 and 10 and 2. That's where you're at right
I
now.
might go 9 and 4. I think their defense is so good.
9 and 3, you mean?
Or
You're between 9 and 3 and 10 and 2, depending on what you do with
I think
Iowa.
it'd be a 9 and it's gonna be like a field goal thing at the end or something.
At Iowa, you're calling it a
17-14.
Mike
it an
Sauter
L.
with the first 9 and 3 prediction we've had on this show.
9 and 3.
Man, you're putting me on the spot.
Here's where I disagree with Sauter. So, because I've been thinking a lot about the 8 and 4s, right?
That's dangerous.
I know it's.
You're thinking.
Well, there's smoke coming out of my ears. It's the whole
You're
thing.
thinking it.
I almost said something mean. I'm not going to.
What would be different than any other day?
I'm always so nice to you.
What?
I might be the nicest person in your life. It's possible.
Yeah.
I've seen how Zoe talks to you. She talks crazy. Right here.
Hey, my kid did that to me the other day. She did the whole like in my face, and I was like, "Oh, no, you're not."
Where you just kind of low key want to check and see how sturdy their esophagus is.
Like, We had the two arms on the. We had the two hands on the
put,
arms.
yeah,
and we were like, you're not doing
Yeah,
that.
we kind of put your thumb near the larynx and just give it a little press.
We're just gonna move right on. No, the one place where I disagree, I do think Nebraska drops one of their first 7. I do.
Colorado game is key.
I think it's Rutgers. I've said that all
Rutgers is
along.
sneaky.
I think it's Rutgers. I think that's a tough game against a tough team, and I don't think Nebraska's past the point of dropping one they probably should get.
I just hope Rutgers is beat the heck by then because
They're
they're already
That's entirely possible.
Injury
Yeah.
problems right now.
That's entirely possible. If they don't have personnel-wise what they
Plus
need
the way
to,
they play kind of lends itself
to getting beat
needing
up.
bodies.
Yeah, you need some depth if you want to
Also, is it
put people on a meat
an
grinder.
11 a.m. versus like with Rutgers? Is it like it's a
Can I
Rutgers?
do the thing where like when people are on the broadcast, they don't pick the game? Like, can I get a? Is that?
I'm not asking you to pick the game.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to pick the game later.
no, I'm going 8-4.
You're
I'm
going 8-4?
I'm an 8-4 camp guy.
So,
But and here's the two things I think I'm pretty sure of.
Okay.
They'll get a game in which they're an underdog, and they'll lose a game in which they're a favorite.
Like a USC.
that's where I'm at. And here's why I've surprise. I've moved off of 8-4. I've been 8-4 the whole time, but I was thinking about this, and I've listening to a lot of the stuff that you've said, which is even more dangerous than me thinking, is trying to listen to DB here. But
sometimes you can know too much, right? That's the
Sure.
downside of being around me because I'll tell you things that you may or may not want to know.
But there's a big emphasis for me on not putting old stuff on this team, and I think that's what I'm doing with 8-4. Because if I'm being honest,
You're a 9-3 guy.
I don't think there's 4 losses on
I know.
here.
I
don't.
I mean, I could see it
because I agree with you. I think they're going to get one they shouldn't. If I'm being honest, if I didn't think
I know what your trepidation is you're pitting their past against them because when you look at the schedule, you have to convince yourself.
I have to convince myself of 3, to be honest with you.
Oh, careful now.
But I do think they're going to, I agree with you. I think they're going to drop one they shouldn't. That's Rutgers for me. But I think they're going to get one they aren't supposed to.
I'm going to tell you a tricky game I think you're overlooking.
Which one?
UCLA.
I don't think UCLA is good.
I hesitated a little bit.
I
but
think
don't
UCLA.
He ain't having it either. He's like, man.
I think UCLA is going to be bad this year.
I'm curious.
Adam McClintock agrees with me, but it's really hard when you're switching staffs, right? When you've got new people, and
system change,
the whole thing.
Not really. I don't think.
You think they're going to play pretty similar to how they did last year
with Bieniemy and Foster? I mean, not it won't be tempo, but they'll run the football.
They're going to run. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to.
I just don't think they're very good. I just don't think they're going to be very good. So I'm not,
type.
especially if that was at UCLA, maybe road games are always tougher, especially in conference. But at Lincoln, I think that's a W. It's in November. I don't think that's going to be a fun game for UCLA. That to me, that's a game I'm not worried about. And I think they go out and beat USC. That's the one that I think they go get. I think they go out and beat USC.
I have this fear that USC is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, but by then, if things aren't going very well, defensive.
I'm praying LSU blows their doors off, but
You think it's going the other way?
I actually think USC.
Well,
wins
LSU's
outright.
not going out there for a party. If you didn't see that,
LSU
we're
better
going out there.
LSU better figure out how to get stops.
We're going out there for a fight.
SC is explosive.
I've got 9-3.
Yeah, I saw him on TikTok.
Yeah.
I saw him.
I've got 9-3. Jerome, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
Oh, easily.
38-10?
Yeah, something easy.
42-6.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be nice because I don't want to see him
no
give up a
touchdown.
touchdown.
42-6. That's my number. That's Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. Matt Vrzal coming up next.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now let's find out what Matt Vrzal is better at. Telling stories or making pizza.
Matt.
Matt's an exceptional young man.
Matt Vrzal.
Happy birthday, Matt.
You know, Matt, he's a tremendous athlete.
Matt Vrzal.
Come on, Matt, I'm with you.
You know, like Matt Vrzal, you're one of the sexiest people in the world, but you're not one of the most beautiful. How does that happen?
Here is Matt Vrzal.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
Wrapping up the show here on a Friday and for the week on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I want to thank everybody for coming out to the live breakfast this morning presented by our friends at EP Foundation Repair. And I know it's football season, but Omaha still is a soccer city. Make sure you get out to unionomaha.com to get tickets to their upcoming match. September 7th is Hometown Heroes Night presented by Woodman Life, where the first 1,200 fans will receive a Steven Dos Santos bobblehead, courtesy of Nebraska State Soccer. All that at unionomaha.com. Joining us now is our guy, Matt Vrzal, former Husker, owner of Paisan's Pizzeria. What's up, Verz?
What's up, boys?
Matthew Aloysius Vrzal. How we doing?
Damon, George Jefferson Benning. How are you?
George. Hey, man. Moving on up.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
He is a lot like you.
Yeah.
He thinks he's right about everything and just gets real pissed off all the time.
Says the guy that went an hour and 30 minutes without speaking to me the other day.
Do we really have to cover this?
No, but I'm just saying, like, you could have easily just said hello and kept it pushing.
Did you not see the amount of people we had in?
Yeah, but
that were like,
Guess what? You don't have to come anywhere near me or stop working to say hello. You gave me the peace sign.
Yeah, I don't know what else you want.
Hello?
If I was Tyreek Hill and did that to you, you'd been fine.
He'd have fined you.
Made a penalty.
Wow. Wow.
Hey, if you're George Jefferson,
I will. Next time you're in, Damon, I will do a cartwheel over to your table.
Hey,
and
can you do a cartwheel?
acknowledge you.
Can you get this on video? Because I'd like to see Vrzal try and do a cartwheel.
Hey, how's
Mikey.
Here we
Mikey.
go. Here we go.
I was in gymnastics till 6th grade, dog. I can do whatever you need to do. I took $20 off Terman's daughter because she didn't think I could do a round off or a cartwheel. So just pump the brakes.
This dude is just hustling kids.
I might have to go over there for lunch today, and we might have
Wait,
to
you
figure this
took
out.
$20 from a kid?
Well, she's a crazy good gymnast, right?
Oh yeah, she's elite.
Yeah.
And so she was doing cartwheels down the yard line. And I was like, Liza, I can do a cartwheel. And she looked me up and down. And in her little brain, she was like, you fat ass, you cannot do no cartwheel.
100%. That's exactly what I'm thinking right now.
And so I was like, I got $10 on it. And so I do one. And she's like, oh. She looks at me and she goes, do a round off. And I'm like, bet. You want to go double or nothing? She's like, sure. So I bust one of those out. And then she looks at me and she goes, round off back handspring. And I was like, nope, ain't doing that one.
Shoot, good thing mom's got a good job. She probably found that in the seat cushion.
I didn't make her pay me. It's just more having breakfast, right?
See, he does that. He bet me during state basketball, and he's like, nah, we'll figure it out later. And I was like, I got it right here, man. He's like, no, we're good. I'm just trying
That's like winning.
Hey, speaking of which, man, the first thing you're looking for tomorrow is what? The ground game? Like Nebraska, you want Nebraska to be able to run the football tomorrow, right?
Just movement. Like if the line of scrimmage moves a yard, 2 yards in Nebraska's direction, whichever side of the ball they're on, I'm good with that. Because that means your running back isn't making moves in the backfield and your linebackers are free to run to the ball. I think if you control those two things and you're not getting pushed backwards on either of them, you're in good shape.
Verz, outside of the movement, is there anything, let's say on the defensive side of the ball, that you're going to be keeping an eye on in particular? I'm pretty high on that defensive line, but
theirs or ours?
Nebraska's.
Oh.
Are there some indicators on defense that you're keeping an eye on?
I was so impressed with the strides that they made last year. Like a lot of the things that I worry about on a defense, like tackling and those kind of things. You'd like to see them get more turnovers, which is, I'm sure that's something they'll address. I don't really have a lot of concerns because their defensive line now has depth. And in the past, I watch those games. I'm like, man, I feel bad for Huntmacher and Robinson. Those big dudes are out there just busting their ass. They've been in for 65 plays. God bless them. They're trying to keep the corner, but sometimes the big body just runs out of juice and you can't quite get there. So to have them fresh for a full game is going to be exciting to see. And have a backup that can go in. You don't have to worry about anything. Production's not going to drop off. So that's going to be cool to see them fresh late in a game where they can maybe make a big sack or knock down a pass or something. So I think the sky's the limit for that defensive front of Nebraska.
Let's say we're not operating in best case scenario and they turn teams or they take the ball away more and they're as good against the run and they're getting off the field on third down. You've been on the sidelines a ton. You watched a lot of football. If you could only get better in one area in your Nebraska's defense, would you get your butt off the field on third down or would you take the ball away more?
I still think the offense is going to have a little look and see. Like I would love to say that I would go with the turnover thing so I get more opportunity to score, but I don't know what that's going to look like because we have a true freshman quarterback. So I'm going to say getting off the field on third down. I thought you saw it last night with Colorado. They had a big turnover and they were able to 3-and-out North Dakota State, which I won money on, so I don't really care. But that was a big thing. That was if NDSU gets that and walks it, you start to doubt some things on that. So I thought that was a big step up by their defense in that game.
Well, on the other side of it, too, you saw NDSU on a couple key third down situations not be able to get off the field. That really kind of changed the tide for Colorado when I think they were in a little bit of deep water there for a while.
And I only asked the question.
Are you guys sponsored by any casinos?
Warhorse.
Okay, so we need to get to your people at Warhorse because I went over there and I got an account and all that stuff. We need to have a scanner that as I drive by or I'm over at Militant and Golf Balls, I can just stick my arm out the car and it will scan that code.
It's like when you go to Costco, you got to scan your card now.
I think
Thank you.
You could get like get like an implant in your arm. Just
I'm in here hammering bets. I'm like, God, this is awesome. I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to be rich. And then it gives me this QR code, and I'm like, what the hell is this? What am I doing with this thing?
Oh, you fancy.
And then I got to go back over there and scan this thing to make my bet. Like, just on your billboard, just put a huge QR code reader, and I'll just drive by and stick my arm out the window, and we'll be good.
Like Okie State with the QR codes on the helmet, right? Like make it accessible.
I think you
Hey,
need
that
to
is smart.
You need to talk to our governor about making that because that's where your real issue is, not with our boys at Warhorse.
Good luck with that.
No, I think he's for. Listen, he wants
I
revenue.
think it might be somebody a little bit older that used to coach football that may have a little say in that.
Oh, well, I mean, I think you got better contact with him than I do, so maybe you have that conversation.
That ain't me. That's your boy sitting next to you.
I don't think.
Wow.
Whoa.
Hey, so you know what's funny though, because I'm with you on getting off the field. I just wonder why we don't talk. Like we keep saying, and I think maybe taking the ball away is easier because you can see it and put it against the number.
You can feel it. It's like the momentum of it too.
But I'm telling you, man, you lower that third down conversion rate, you get that thing into the low 30s. It's you don't have to take the ball away as much.
Too. Like it's
right?
Like feels less luck based.
It's so swaggy though for your defense, right? Your defense getting off the field on third down, it just gives everybody a little bit of juice.
Yep.
It just gets everybody kind of hype. And if you got some playmakers back in the punt return game, then you're like, okay, we're going to get a playmaker chance to get the ball. And then getting people off the field on third down is a hidden, in Damon Benning terms, sneaky momentum booster for teams, attitude booster. There's just something about it.
Yeah.
Verz, I know, I don't know if you're like DB here and you don't like getting into prediction season at all, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you have a record prediction?
I gave a record. You want me to go game by game?
I think there's so much out there yet. I would just say I'm going to be the buzzkill. I'm going to say 7, but I think I would like to caveat where that number I would have the chance to move it after you get to see something.
Well,
I know that's blasphemous in the state, but I think Vegas has it perfect. Vegas is going to make money on both sides. They got it at 7.5, and I think they're right. I mean, I think you're going to get a boatload of Nebraska people who are going to hammer that over, and you're going to get a boatload of national people that hammer the under. So,
what could you see tomorrow that would make you think, hey, yeah, I think maybe higher?
Clean sheet offensively, meaning no false starts, no turnovers.
That'd be something.
That would be unbelievable. And then defensively, just a group that just flies around to the ball. These are good games where you can kind of get some of the butterflies out. You're going to have a young quarterback. He's probably more mature than most quarterbacks, but he's going to fly around. Not fly around. He's going to make sure that he kind of dictates how this offense gets run. And so I hope we get to see a lot of his skill set. And there's no need. We're not to the point where we can hold things back in quotes. We just need to go out and play and find some stuff that works. Satterfeld getting in a rhythm. I thought at times last year his play calling was very unrhythmic. So if he gets in a rhythm, play calling, that's kind of something I'd be watching for too.
You going to Moylan tonight?
I'm going to stop over there, yeah. Yep. Are you going?
No, I'll be in Newman, Norfolk,
California. Oh, man. Yeah. That's a pretty good one out of the game. How'd that go last night, DB?
It was okay. I mean, we got a dub, so I'm happy, but, I mean, we got a lot to work on.
Yeah.
Win and move on, right?
Yep. Yes, sir. Hey, how's the foil game?
It'll be here on Tuesday.
Okay. Keep me in the loop.
Dang,
That's-
just got deflated.
That's our guy, Matt Vrzal. Verz, we appreciate it as always. Have a good weekend.
See you, boys.
Thanks, Matty.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out to Hurrdat Sports Bar for the live breakfast. We will be back September 20th before the Illinois game. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. Sautter hanging out with us as well. We will see you next week.
See you. Have a good day. Love.